What if the universe was not a vault to be cracked, but a mirror reflecting the face you show it? What if prosperity was not a destination to be reached, but a frequency to be tuned into? There is a quiet hum beneath the noise of your days, a subtle dissonance you feel deep in your bones. It is the feeling of running on a path that has no end, of accumulating things that leave you feeling hollow, of being surrounded by connection yet feeling profoundly alone. You have followed the rules, you have chased the goals, you have climbed the ladders presented to you, yet the view from the top feels strangely empty, muted. The world shouts its demands, a relentless static of more, faster, better, and you have tried to keep pace, but your soul aches for silence. It longs for a different kind of wealth, one not measured in figures and assets, but in peace, in freedom, in the sheer, unburdened joy of being. This is an invitation to step out of that storm, to find a quiet room within yourself, where the winds of expectation cannot reach you. This is not a lecture, nor a set of instructions to be memorized. Think of this as a conversation with the part of you that has always known the truth. The part of you that remembers a time before the world told you who you should be and what you should want. We are not here to seek a treasure in some distant land. We are here to find a switch, a master switch that has always been within your reach. It has been there all along, waiting patiently in the stillness behind the noise, waiting for you to turn your attention inward. This journey is not about adding anything to you, for you are already whole. It is a journey of removal, of letting go, of remembering. It is the journey to the control room of your own reality, to finally, deliberately, flip the switch from lack to abundance, from noise to clarity, from seeking to being. Breathe in, and let us begin. Before all else, we must speak of the room. A room that has no visible doors, whose walls are built not of stone or wood, but of thought, whose only furniture is a collection of old fears, and whose only sound is an echo. Listen closely. It is a voice, and it sounds remarkably like your own. This is the echo chamber of lack. You have lived here for a very long time. You may not have even realized it was a room, for you have mistaken its walls for the boundaries of the world, its stale air for the only air there is to breathe. Within this chamber, a single story is told, over and over, in 1,000 different ways. The story is, there is not enough. It echoes in the morning when you first wake, a low hum of anxiety about the day's obligations and expenses. It whispers when you see the success of another, a sharp pang of comparison that says, they have something you do not. It shouts when a bill arrives, when an unexpected cost arises, confirming its own grim prophecy. The story says, you are not enough, not smart enough, not talented enough, not disciplined enough, not worthy enough. Each past failure, each criticism you ever received, each moment of doubt is a recording, played on a loop, the sound bouncing from wall to wall until it becomes an inescapable, deafening truth. This chamber was not built in a day. It was constructed carefully, piece by piece, throughout your life. A brick was laid when you were told that money is the root of all evil, yet also that you must strive for it above all else. Another was laid when you learned to measure your worth by your possessions, your job title, your productivity. The cement that holds it all together is the quiet, pervasive belief that you are separate from abundance, that prosperity is something outside of you, something to be fought for, earned, and desperately guarded lest it be taken away. And so you live within this architecture of scarcity. You make your decisions from here. You choose your career from here, opting for safety over passion. You manage your relationships from here, fearing what you might lose rather than celebrating what you have. You plan your future from here, always preparing for the worst, hedging your bets against a disaster that the chamber insists is just around the corner. The most insidious aspect of this room is that it feels like you. You believe you are the voice that echoes. You mistake the narrative of lack for your own identity. You are the one who worries, the one who struggles, the one for whom things are always just a little bit difficult. It is a heavy identity to carry, a suffocating costume to wear. But there is another part of you, a deeper, quieter consciousness. It is the part of you that stands in the center of the room and feels that something is wrong. It is a whisper beneath the echoes, a longing, a primal, unshakable desire for more. Not just more things, but more life, more freedom, more peace, more joy. This is the source of your inner conflict, the silent war that exhausts you more than any external struggle. The whisper of your soul yearns for expansion, for sunlight, for the open sky. But the echo of your conditioned mind pulls you back, warning you of the dangers, reminding you of the falls, insisting that the four walls of this room are the only safety you will ever know. The echo says, "Be realistic." The whisper asks, "What if reality is bigger than you think?" The echo says, "Don't get your hopes up." The whisper responds, "Your hopes are the only thing that can lift you out of here." This conflict leaves you paralyzed, with one foot in the familiar misery of the chamber and one hand reaching for a freedom you can barely imagine. You take a step toward your dream, and the echo screams, "Who do you think you are?" And the old fear, like gravity, pulls you back to the cold floor. Now, here is the first ray of light, the first crack in the walls. The central truth you must grasp with every fiber of your being is this: true scarcity is not in your bank account, your home, or your circumstances. True scarcity is in your perception. The lack you feel is not a reflection of the world. It is the reflection of the story you are telling yourself inside this room. The universe is infinitely abundant, a field of limitless potential, but you are experiencing it through a filter, a lens that is programmed to only see what is missing. The chamber is not the world. It is a prison you have unknowingly created, and you, and only you, hold the key to your own liberation. The first turn of that key is not a grand, dramatic action. It is an act of simple, radical awareness. It is the act of catching the thought. It is learning to hear the echo for what it is. Just an echo, not a command, not a truth, just a sound. This requires you to develop a new kind of listening, an inner ear. Throughout your day, begin to notice the voice. When you look at your reflection and a critical thought arises, do not follow it down its usual path. Stop and label it. Ah, that is the not enough story. When you feel a surge of envy looking at someone's life online, pause, breathe, and label it. There is the voice of comparison. When you hesitate to invest in yourself, to take a course, to start a project, listen for the underlying reason. You will likely hear, "What if you fail? What if you waste the money?" Label it. That is the frequency of fear and lack. Do not judge yourself for having these thoughts. Do not fight them. That is like shouting back at an echo. It only makes the room louder. Simply notice. Acknowledge it with a calm detachment, like a scientist observing a phenomenon. This simple act of labeling creates a space, a tiny, precious gap between you, the observer, and the thought, the observed. In that space, there is freedom. In that space, you remember that you are not the echo. You are the one who hears the echo. The second practical step is to begin gently to control the information that enters your chamber. The walls of this room are permeable. They are reinforced from the outside every single day. The news cycles that thrive on fear and disaster. The advertising that is meticulously designed to make you feel incomplete without a product. The social media feeds that present a curated, impossible standard of living. Even the casual conversations with friends and family that revolve around complaining and worrying. All of these are fresh coats of paint on the walls of your prison. You must become a conscious gatekeeper of your own mind. This does not mean becoming a hermit. It means making a choice. Choose to engage with content that uplifts and inspires you. Choose to spend time with people who speak of possibilities, not just problems. Choose, for one day a week, or even 1 hour a day, to go on an information diet. No news, no scrolling, just you, your thoughts, and the world immediately around you. This is an act of cleansing the palate of your perception. You are deliberately starving the echo of its external ammunition, giving it less to work with, forcing it to become fainter. You have spent a lifetime in this echo chamber of lack. Do not expect its walls to crumble overnight. Be patient and compassionate with yourself. The goal for now is not to escape. The goal is to simply realize that you are in a room, to walk its perimeter, to touch its walls, to know its dimensions, to study the echoes, to become familiar with their tone and their texture, not as your reality, but as a habit of your mind. You are learning the layout of your own prison. Because you cannot leave a place you do not know you are in. Look around this mental space. Feel its limitations. Feel the chill in the air. Recognize how it has cramped your spirit, how it has edited your dreams down to a manageable, safe size. Let the deep, quiet part of you, the whisper, truly acknowledge the confinement, for it is this profound recognition, this deep dissatisfaction with the familiar darkness, that will finally compel you to search for the door. And the door is not found by breaking down the walls. It is not found by shouting. It is found in the one place you have been trained to avoid, the one thing the echo cannot tolerate, the silence between the sounds. You have become aware of the room, and you have heard the echoes. You have begun to notice the monotonous, fearful story of lack that plays on a loop. And in this new awareness, a question naturally arises. How do I get out? The temptation is to fight, to scream back at the echoes, to bang on the walls of thought, hoping to force your way through to some other place. But this only creates more noise, more chaos, more of the same frantic energy that built the prison in the first place. The way out is not through force. The way out is through a door you have long forgotten how to see. This door is not made of wood or iron. It is made of silence. It is found in the pauses between the echoes, in the gaps between the thoughts. To find it, we must learn the architecture of stillness. For the modern mind, there is almost nothing more terrifying than genuine stillness. We have been conditioned to believe that our value lies in our activity, our productivity, our motion. We are human doings, not human beings. Stillness feels like a failure. It feels like wasted time. It is a vacuum. And our anxious minds rush to fill it with anything they can find. A phone to scroll. A podcast to listen to. A list to make. A problem to solve. We treat every spare moment of our lives as an empty space to be crammed with stimulation or distraction. Why? Because when the outer noise ceases, the inner noise becomes deafening. When you finally stop running, you are forced to feel the exhaustion in your legs. When you turn off the television, you are forced to listen to the anxieties in your own head. Stillness holds up a mirror to your inner state, and most of us are afraid of what we will see. We are afraid to confront the sadness we have been suppressing, the loneliness we have been outrunning, the big unanswered questions about our lives that we have been burying under a mountain of tasks. Noise is our anesthetic. Busyness is our hiding place. This creates a deep internal conflict. There is a part of you, your body and your soul, that is crying out for rest, for a moment of peace. It sends you signals, fatigue, burnout, a feeling of being constantly overwhelmed. Yet, another part of you, the conditioned mind, the inner taskmaster, cracks a whip. The moment you sit down to simply be, a wave of guilt washes over you. You should be doing something. You're falling behind. Look at everyone else. They are still hustling, still achieving. What are you doing? Nothing. This internal battle is relentless. It makes true rest impossible. Even on vacation, your mind is still at work, planning, worrying, cataloging. You have forgotten how to be still. You have lost the ability to simply exist without justification. And because of this, you have cut yourself off from the very source of true prosperity and power. Here is the truth that will dismantle that conflict. Stillness is not emptiness, it is fullness. It is not a void, it is a womb. It is the most potent, creative, and regenerative state you can possibly enter. A field that is plowed every single day, without rest, will soon become barren. It loses its nutrients, its vitality. It needs to lie fallow to gather strength for the next harvest. Your mind, your spirit, is that field. By denying yourself periods of genuine stillness, you have been depleting your own soil. You have been trying to grow a rich life from exhausted ground. Stillness is not the absence of anything. It is the presence of everything. It is a foundational space where the chaotic, scattered energy of your mind is allowed to settle, and only when the energy has settled can you hear the whispers of your intuition. Only then can true insight bubble to the surface. Only then can you connect with the deep well of peace that exists within you, beneath the turbulent surface of your thoughts. You do not lose momentum in stillness. You gather it. It is the moment an archer draws back the bowstring. To the uninformed eye, it looks like a backward motion, a retreat, but it is in that silent, tension-filled stillness that all the power for the forward flight is gathered. Let us use a different image. Imagine your mind is a deep lake. For years, the winds of anxiety, fear, and constant mental chatter have been blowing across its surface, churning it up. The water is murky, filled with the sediment of old beliefs and unresolved emotions. You cannot see the bottom. You cannot see what creatures live within it. The surface reflects only the gray, stormy sky above. This murky, agitated lake is your normal state of consciousness. Now, imagine you find a sheltered cove, protected from the wind. You sit at the water's edge, and you wait. You do nothing. You simply allow the wind to cease in this small, protected area. This is the practice of stillness. At first, nothing seems to happen. The water is still cloudy, but slowly, imperceptibly, the heaviest particles of sediment begin to drift downward. The mud begins to settle. The water begins to clear. This is your mind, slowly calming as you sit in silence. How do you begin? It is simpler than you think. You do not need a special mantra or a complicated posture. You need only your intention and a few minutes. Let's call it a 5-minute experiment in stillness. Find a place where you will not be disturbed. It can be a chair in the corner of your room, your car in the parking lot, a bench in a park. Set a timer for 5 minutes so you are not tempted to check the time, and simply sit. Close your eyes if that is comfortable for you. Your only instruction is to do nothing. Just be. At first, you will notice the external sounds. A car passing, a dog barking, the hum of the refrigerator. Do not resist them. Do not label them good or bad. Let them be the soundtrack to your stillness. Let them wash over you without snagging your attention. Then, bring your awareness to the physical sensations of your body. The feeling of your feet on the floor, the weight of your body in the chair, the air on your skin. Again, just notice, no judgment. Now, gently, bring your awareness to the rhythm of your own breath. Feel the air enter your nostrils, fill your lungs. Feel your chest or your abdomen rise and fall. The breath is your anchor in the present moment. It is always with you, and it is always happening now. Your mind, unaccustomed to this, will wander. This is not a failure. It is what minds do. It will present you with a thought, a worry, a memory, a to-do list. The moment you notice your mind has wandered, gently and without criticizing yourself, guide your attention back to the sensation of your breath. This is the entire practice. It is not about forcing the mind to be empty. It is the simple, repeated, compassionate act of returning. Returning to the anchor of the breath, returning to the present moment, returning to stillness. Each time you do this, you are performing a single, powerful act. You are weakening the habit of being lost in thought, and you are strengthening the muscle of conscious awareness. You are choosing not to board the train of every thought that pulls into the station of your mind. You are choosing to simply sit on the platform and watch them go by. As you continue this simple 5-minute practice, day after day, something remarkable begins to happen. You are creating that sheltered cove. You are allowing the winds to die down. The sediment in the lake of your mind begins to settle. There will be more clarity, more space. You will start to notice the gap between your thoughts, a moment of pure, unadorned peace. It might only last a second, but it will be unmistakable. That is the door. That is the silence between the echoes. Back at the lake, as the water clears, the surface becomes like glass. For the first time, it is no longer reflecting the stormy, chaotic sky of your mind. It becomes perfectly still. And a still lake reflects whatever is above it with perfect fidelity. It reflects the vast, boundless, peaceful blue sky. This is a reflection of your true nature, your deeper consciousness, the silent, aware presence that exists beyond the noise. This is the peace you have been seeking. It was never in the external world. It was simply waiting, obscured by the turbulence you yourself were creating. The stillness of the lake also reveals something else. Now that the water is clear, you can see what lies beneath the surface. You can see the rocks and the weeds on the lake bed, your ingrained beliefs. You can see the fish darting back and forth, your habitual thought patterns. You see them clearly now, for what they are. You are no longer swimming in the murky water with them, tossed about by their every movement. You are sitting on the bank, the calm, detached observer. You can see the entire ecosystem of your mind without being defined by it. This is the second great gift of stillness. It not only connects you to the peace of your true nature, but it also gives you the clarity to see the mechanics of your own mind without judgment. From this place of calm observation, you are no longer a victim of your thoughts. You are their witness. And now that you can see them clearly, you can begin to relate to them in an entirely new way. You can begin to see them not as solid truths, but as something else entirely, a flowing, impersonal river. You are sitting by the shore of the now clearing lake of your mind. The practice of stillness has allowed the sediment to settle, and for the first time, you can see the inner workings with a newfound clarity. You see the thoughts, like fish, darting back and forth beneath the surface. You notice their shapes, their sizes, their speed. Before, you were in the water with them, tossed and turned by their every move, believing their frantic energy was your own. Now, you are on the shore, the witness. This shift in perspective from being the participant to being the observer is the beginning of all true freedom. But to solidify this freedom, we must now turn our full attention to the nature of these thoughts themselves. We must come to understand the great river of thought. Imagine that your mind is not a lake, but a vast and powerful river, constantly flowing. It has been flowing since you were born, and it will continue to flow until you die. There are moments when the river is placid and crystal clear, the thoughts within it gentle and harmonious. There are moments when it is a raging, muddy torrent, filled with the debris of anger, fear, and worry. It carries memories from the past, projections about the future, random bits of songs, fragments of conversations, creative ideas, and absolute nonsense. This river is the stream of consciousness. For your entire life, you have been taught one fundamental and profoundly misleading idea, that you are this river. You have been told that the quality of the water is the quality of yourself, that if the river is turbulent, you are a turbulent person. If the river carries a dark thought, you are a dark person. This is the great case of mistaken identity that is the root of most human suffering. We have been conditioned to believe that our thinking mind is the pinnacle of our identity. I think, therefore I am. This single idea has fused our sense of self to the chaotic, impersonal, and ever-changing flow of the river. When a thought like, "I am not good enough," floats by, we don't perceive it as a neutral piece of mental driftwood. We hook onto it, we identify with it, we absorb it into our very being. It ceases to be a thought and becomes a truth, a verdict. We then live and act from that verdict, and in doing so, we gather evidence from the world to prove it right, which in turn creates more thoughts of the same nature. We are caught in a self-perpetuating loop, swept away by a current of our own inadvertent making. Your inner conflict, the one that drains your energy and keeps you stuck, is the constant, exhausting battle taking place within this river. It is the struggle of the inner analyst, the default mode of your mind. The analyst believes its job is to manage the river. It stands midstream, frantically trying to catch every thought. It grabs a thought of worry, dissects it, explores its every possible negative outcome. It grabs a thought of regret, relives it, punishes itself for it. It even grabs a happy thought and immediately begins to worry about when that happiness will end. The analyst is a micromanager, convinced that if it stops controlling, sorting, and judging every single thought, disaster will strike. But the peace you touched in your moments of stillness came from a different mode of being, the inner observer. The observer is not in the river at all. The observer is sitting calmly on the high bank, watching the entire spectacle with a gentle, non-judgmental curiosity. The observer sees the angry thoughts, the sad thoughts, the brilliant thoughts, and the bizarre thoughts all flow by as part of the same river. It doesn't jump in to stop the angry thoughts. It doesn't try to build a dam to hold on to the happy ones. It simply watches, understanding that the nature of a river is to flow. The war within you is the constant pull between the frantic analyst in the water and the serene observer on the bank. You resolve to be the observer, but a particularly powerful or familiar thought hooks you, and before you know it, you are pulled from the bank back into the churning current, tumbling head over heels in a stream of anxiety. The most liberating message you will ever receive is this: you cannot stop the river from flowing, but you can choose to stop jumping into it. Your power is not in controlling the thoughts that arise, but in choosing which thoughts you will engage with, energize, and believe. You are not the river. You are not the water. You are not the thoughts. You are the vast, silent, unchangeable bank upon which the river flows. Or better yet, you are the sky above it all. This is the profound shift. You must disentangle your sense of self, your precious I, from the impersonal stream of mental activity. Thoughts are events in consciousness. They are not you. They are mental weather patterns passing through the sky of your awareness. To practice this, we can evolve our previous exercise. Find your quiet seat. Allow your body to settle, your breath to find its rhythm. Now, visualize your awareness as a vast, open, brilliant blue sky. This sky is your true nature, spacious, peaceful, and permanent. It is always there, behind the changing weather. Now, as thoughts arise in your mind, see them as clouds drifting through your sky. Some thoughts will be like small, white, puffy clouds. A pleasant memory, an interesting idea. Notice them, acknowledge their shape and texture, and let them drift on by. Other thoughts will be like dark, heavy storm clouds. A worry about money, a surge of anger, a wave of sadness. Your old habit, the analyst, will want to fixate on this storm cloud, to fly into the heart of it and be consumed by its lightning and thunder. The observer, the sky, does something different. It simply allows the storm cloud to be there. It notices its darkness, its energy, its shape. It does not fight the cloud. It does not try to push it away. It creates a vast, compassionate space for the storm to exist, knowing that it too is temporary. The sky is not damaged by the storm. The sky does not become the storm. It remains the sky, and eventually, the storm cloud passes, as all clouds do. Practice this sky-gazing meditation. When a thought of lack appears, "I'll never have enough," see it as a gray cloud. Say internally, "Ah, a cloud of lack is passing through my sky." You do not have to believe it. You do not have to argue with it. You are simply naming the weather. When a thought of judgment arises, "I shouldn't have done that," see it as a sharp, fast-moving cloud. There is a cloud of judgment. By doing this, you are stripping the thoughts of their personal power. They are no longer your personal truth, but impersonal mental events, like clouds, like driftwood in the river. You are cultivating a healthy detachment. This is not a cold or uncaring detachment. It is a loving, spacious detachment that gives you room to breathe. It frees you from the tyranny of your own mind. When you sit on the riverbank, you start to notice the character of the water. Sometimes it is clear, and the thoughts are easy to see and let go of. Other times, the river is a thick, brown sludge of negativity, and it feels impossible not to be stained by it. Do not be discouraged. The practice is not about having a perpetually clear river. The practice is to remain on the bank, regardless of the state of the water. Your identity, your peace, is on the bank. As you become more skilled at this, you discover your true power, the power of choice. You realize that while you may not control the first thought that pops into your head, you have absolute authority over the second and third thoughts. An initial thought of worry may be automatic, a product of old conditioning. But whether you follow that first thought with a second thought of worry, and a third, creating a whole train of anxiety that is a choice, you can choose to pour your focus and energy into that thought cloud, making it bigger and darker. Or you can choose to return your focus to the sky, to your breath, to the stability of the bank, and let the cloud drift by on its own. As you sit in this silent observation, watching the river of thought flow past, you begin to notice another quality. You notice the current. Some thoughts are like leaves floating gently on the surface with almost no energy. A random thought about the color blue, a memory of a childhood street. They pass by easily. But other thoughts have a powerful current. A thought about a deep desire has an exciting, pulling energy. A thought about a painful rejection has a heavy, dragging undertow. They have a force that can easily pull you from the bank. What is this force? What gives these thoughts their power, their emotional weight, their charge? This energy, this current in the river of thought, is what we must examine next. For this energy is the very currency of creation. It is the language the universe understands. It is the power that turns a simple thought into a tangible reality. This energy is emotion. We have been sitting on the bank of the great river of thought, learning to watch its incessant flow without being swept away. In this quiet observation, you began to notice the current, the invisible force that gives certain thoughts their power, their pull, their charge. This force, this energy in motion, is emotion, and understanding its true nature is the key to unlocking the machinery of creation. Emotion is the most misunderstood, and therefore the most mismanaged aspect of our inner world. We treat our feelings as unpredictable intruders, as weaknesses to be concealed, or as problems to be solved. We have been taught to navigate life using only the map of logic and reason, while ignoring the most powerful and accurate guidance system we possess, our own heart. Think of your emotional state as an exquisite, highly sensitive inner compass. It is constantly giving you feedback in every single moment about your alignment with your own true path, with the universe, with the source of all that is. When you are thinking thoughts and taking actions that are in harmony with your deeper self and your highest good, your emotional compass points to what we call positive feelings: joy, love, excitement, peace, gratitude. These feelings are your inner being's way of shouting, "Yes, this is it, more of this. You are on the right track." They are a signal that your frequency is tuned to the frequency of well-being and abundance. Conversely, when you are thinking thoughts or believing stories that are out of harmony with your true nature, the compass needle swings toward what we call negative feelings: fear, anger, frustration, sadness, jealousy, despair. These feelings are not a punishment. They are not a sign that you are flawed or broken. They are a loving, urgent alarm system. They are your guidance system's way of saying, recalibrate. The thoughts you are currently focused on are leading you away from where you truly want to go. Your perception is currently tuned to a frequency of resistance, of lack, of separation, but we are not taught to see it this way. From our earliest days, we are taught to distrust and suppress this guidance. Stop crying, don't be angry, cheer up, be strong. We learn that certain emotions are unacceptable, so we begin a lifelong war against our own feelings. We become masters of repression, pushing our sadness down into a tight ball in our chests. We become experts at distraction, using food, work, or entertainment to numb the anxiety humming beneath the surface. We try to fight our anger with judgment, shaming ourselves for feeling it, which only adds a layer of guilt on top of the initial emotion. This internal war is utterly exhausting. It is like trying to hold a dozen beach balls underwater at the same time. It takes a colossal amount of life force energy that could be used for creating, for loving, for living. And it is ultimately futile. The suppressed emotion doesn't go away. It just goes into hiding, festering in the dark, expressing itself sideways as chronic anxiety, depression, or even physical illness. The conflict is between our desperate desire to control our feelings and the simple truth that feelings do not want to be controlled. They want to be felt. They want to be honored. They are messengers, and they will keep knocking on your door, louder and louder, until you finally open it and receive their message. The way to end this war is to declare a truce, to lay down your arms and befriend your own emotional world. This begins with a radical shift in understanding. Your emotions are not just feedback. They are your primary creative power. The universe does not respond to the words you say or the wishes you make as much as it responds to the vibrational frequency you are emitting. And your emotional state is your vibrational frequency. Your feeling is the prayer. This is the great secret. Emotion is the currency of the cosmos. You are paying for your future experiences with the currency of your present feelings. If you walk through your days feeling a constant, low-grade sense of lack, worry, and frustration, you are placing a powerful order with the universe. You are using the currency of lack to purchase more circumstances that will generate the feeling of lack. The universe, in its impersonal, law-based wisdom, simply says, you are offering the vibration of not enough. Here are more bills you can't pay, more opportunities that fall through, more reasons to feel that you are not enough. It is not punishing you, it is simply matching your output. Conversely, when you can find a way to genuinely cultivate the feeling of gratitude, of peace, of joy, you are paying with a different currency. You are offering the vibration of abundance. The universe then responds by saying, you are offering the frequency of, I have so much to be thankful for. Here are more blessings, more synchronicities, more reasons to feel grateful. You are using the feelings of your desired future to create that future. So how do we work with this? How do we honor our feelings without being consumed by them? We start by changing our inquiry. When a difficult emotion arises, our first instinct is to ask, why do I feel this way? This question, while seemingly logical, is a trap. It sends the analytical mind on a frantic search for a culprit. I feel angry because my boss said that thing. I feel sad because of what happened 10 years ago. This keeps you stuck in the story, locked in blame, and focused on the external circumstances. It reinforces the feeling of being a victim of your emotions. The more powerful, more creative question to ask is, what is this feeling trying to tell me? This question transforms you from victim to student. It assumes the emotion has a wise message for you. Let this be your new practice. When a strong emotion arises, instead of immediately trying to fix it or escape it, pause, take a breath. First, simply name it, without judgment. This is anger. This is sadness. This is fear. Naming it separates you from it just enough to give you a sliver of perspective. Second, locate it in your body. Where do you feel this emotion? Is it a tightness in your throat? A hollowness in your stomach? A pressure in your head? Emotion is energy, and it lives in the body. By focusing on the physical sensation, you bypass the endless stories of the mind. Third, breathe into that sensation. Imagine your breath traveling to that tight spot in your chest, surrounding it with warm, accepting, spacious energy. You are not trying to get rid of the feeling. You are simply being with it, tending to it. Fourth, with genuine curiosity, ask it, "What is your message for me?" Then be silent and listen. The anger might tell you, "A boundary has been crossed. You need to protect your space." The sadness might whisper, "This is an area of your life that needs healing and tenderness. You need to grieve this loss." The fear might say, "You are believing a thought that is not true. You are focused on a future that has not happened." You are turning your emotions from enemies into allies, from chaotic intruders into wise counselors. Let's return to our metaphor. If thoughts are the clouds, then emotions are the weather. No one looks at a rainy day and thinks the sky has failed. Rain is not bad. It is a necessary part of the atmospheric cycle. It nourishes the earth. Sunshine is not good. It is simply a different condition. It warms the earth. A wise person doesn't get angry at the weather. They adapt to it. They carry an umbrella in the rain and wear lighter clothes in the sun. You must learn to become a wise observer of your own inner weather. A day filled with the weather of melancholy is not a sign of your personal failure. It is a signal that your soul requires a period of quiet, inward nourishment. A day filled with the storms of anger is not a sign that you are a bad person. It is a signal that there is a powerful energy present that needs to be understood and channeled constructively. To demand that you feel positive and sunny all the time is as absurd as demanding that it never rain. True emotional mastery is not about controlling the weather. It is about learning to dance in the rain and bask in the sun with equal grace, understanding that both are part of the wholeness of life. When you befriend your emotions this way, you are no longer at their mercy. You reclaim the tremendous energy you once wasted on suppressing them. You learn their language. You receive their wisdom. And most importantly, you begin to understand that you have a choice. While you cannot always control the first wave of emotion that washes over you, you absolutely have a say in which emotional currents you choose to nurture. You realize that your feeling state is not just a random byproduct of your day. It is the most powerful creative tool you possess. It is the energetic signature you are sending out to the universe. This begs the next crucial question. If emotion is the result of your vibrational state, and your vibrational state is the currency of creation, how do you consciously, deliberately, generate the feelings of abundance, peace, and joy, even when your external world doesn't yet reflect them? The answer lies in mastering the one tool that directs all energy. It lies in learning how to command the powerful creative beam of your own attention. It lies in understanding the lens of your focus. We have arrived at a pivotal understanding. Emotion is the energy that creates, the currency that purchases our reality from the field of all potential. This realization brings with it a profound and practical question. How then do we generate the emotions of joy, peace, and abundance that will, by law, attract more of the same into our lives? The answer is at once breathtakingly simple and requires a lifetime of mastery. The quality of your emotion is determined by the quality of your focus. Your feeling state is a direct consequence of where you are placing your attention. Attention is not a passive thing. It is an active current of energy. It is the lifeblood of your consciousness. Where attention goes, energy flows, and what you energize, you materialize. You are, in every moment, directing this current, whether you are aware of it or not. To reclaim your power, you must learn to direct it with conscious, deliberate intent. Imagine you are standing in the center of an enormous, dark warehouse. This warehouse contains everything that has ever existed or could ever exist. In one corner, there are piles of lack, worry, and sickness. In another, there are mountains of joy, opportunity, and vibrant health. In another, solutions to every problem you could ever face. It is all there, coexisting in the dark, as pure potential. You are holding the only flashlight in the warehouse. This flashlight is your focus, your conscious attention. Whatever you point its beam at is what you see, what you experience, what becomes your reality. If you keep the beam pointed at the pile of unpaid bills and past mistakes, that corner of the warehouse becomes your entire world. You will stumble over evidence of lack. You will feel the cold dread of scarcity, because that is all you are illuminating. The mountains of joy and opportunity might be just a few feet away, but in the darkness, they effectively do not exist for you. This is not just a metaphor. Your brain contains a network of neurons called the reticular activating system, which acts as a filter for your reality. You are bombarded with billions of bits of information every second, and your brain must filter it down to what is essential. What does it deem essential? Whatever you have told it is important, and you tell it what is important through your consistent focus. If your dominant focus is on, "I can't afford it," your brain will dutifully scan your environment and highlight every single piece of evidence that confirms that belief, while completely ignoring the evidence of abundance that is all around you. The great inner conflict is between the mind's default setting and your conscious intention. The human brain, for all its brilliance, has an ancient survival mechanism, a built-in negativity bias. It is programmed to scan for threats, problems, and dangers. This was useful when our ancestors needed to watch for predators in the tall grass. In the modern world, this translates to a mind that automatically gravitates toward what is wrong. The one critical comment in a sea of praise, the one thing on the to-do list that isn't done, the one potential problem in a field of opportunity. This is the path of least resistance. It takes no effort to worry, to complain, to find fault. That is the mind on autopilot. Your conscious, creative power lies in your ability to override this default program. It is the battle between passively allowing your flashlight beam to be drawn toward the familiar shadows of problems versus deliberately and authoritatively seizing the flashlight and pointing it toward the light of solutions and gratitude. It is the difference between being the victim of your focus and being the master of it. This is the ultimate empowerment. You are the director of the movie of your life. Your focus is the camera. You choose the shots. In any given situation, you can zoom in on the flaw, or you can pan out to see the bigger picture. Two people can lose their jobs. One directs the camera onto the closed door, the injustice, the fear. Their inner world is filled with bitterness and despair. The other directs the camera onto the open window, the newfound freedom, the opportunity to retrain or start a new venture. Their inner world is filled with hope and excitement. The external event was identical. The internal reality, the emotional currency they are spending, is worlds apart, and therefore, the future they are creating will be worlds apart. The secret to prosperity is not to wait for the external circumstances to change. It is to change your focus within the existing circumstances. You do not wait for the warehouse to be filled only with good things. You learn to point your flashlight at the good things that are already there. So, how do we train this unruly beam of focus? We begin with two foundational practices. These are not merely positive thinking exercises. They are rigorous training programs for your neurology and your energy field. The first is the disciplined practice of gratitude. At the beginning of every day, before the world has a chance to grab your attention, and at the end of every day, before you drift off to sleep, take a journal and physically write down 3 to 5 things you are genuinely grateful for. This must be specific. Not just "I'm grateful for my family," but "I am grateful for the sound of my partner's laughter when they told that story today." Not just "I'm grateful for my home," but "I am grateful for the warmth of my favorite blanket and the comfort of my bed." By actively searching for these specific points of gratitude, you are commanding your brain, this is what is important. Find more of this. You are training your flashlight to ignore the cobwebs and seek out the jewels. In the beginning, it might feel difficult, but as you persist, you will begin to notice more and more things to be grateful for throughout your day. You are literally rewiring your brain to see the world through the lens of appreciation, and therefore, through the lens of abundance. The second practice is the 90/10ths rule for challenges. When a problem arises, and problems will arise, the untrained mind will dedicate 100% of its focus to the problem itself. It will obsess over it, magnify it, talk about it endlessly, reinforcing its negative energy. The trained mind operates differently. It applies the 90/10ths rule. You are allowed to give 10% of your focus to understanding the problem. Acknowledge it. See it clearly. Do not deny its existence. But then, you must resolutely pivot and dedicate the other 90% of your focus, your energy, and your time to the solution. You ask different questions. Instead of, "Why is this happening to me?" you ask, "What can I learn from this? What is the opportunity hidden within this challenge? What are 3 possible creative solutions right now? What resources do I have that can help me?" This discipline prevents you from getting stuck in the thick, slow-moving energy of the problem, and immediately shifts you into the high-frequency, creative energy of the solution. Your focus is a magnifying glass. Most people use this powerful instrument to hover over their anxieties, their shortcomings, and their fears. They hold it there until a small worry is magnified into a terrifying monster that blocks out all light and becomes their entire reality. They use the creative power of their focus to burn themselves. But you can make a different choice. You can take that same magnifying glass and hold it over the scattered, diffuse rays of sunlight, the small blessings, the tiny moments of joy, the things that are going right. By holding your focus steady on these things, you gather their gentle warmth and concentrate it into a single, powerful point of heat. A point of heat that can ignite a fire of passion, of inspiration, of momentum. The lens is neutral. The power is in your hand. Your choice of what to magnify determines whether you get burned by your problems or warmed by your blessings. You are the illuminator of your own universe. What you place in the beam of your attention is what gets energized, what grows, what becomes solid. The rest fades into the unmanifested darkness of potential. Acknowledge this power. Claim it. It is your greatest gift and your greatest responsibility. Now that you understand the supreme importance of directing your focus, you may ask for more specific tools. How do I hold my focus on my desired reality, especially when the old habits of worry are so strong and the external world seems to contradict my vision? Gratitude and the 90/10ths rule are your daily disciplines. But to truly program your subconscious mind and align your energy, we must now learn to speak its native tongue. We must learn the specific techniques that command the lens of focus with unwavering precision. We must learn the language of words that build worlds and the language of images that give them life. We must learn the language of creation. You have learned to command the lens of your focus, to consciously direct the spotlight of your attention away from the shadows of lack and toward the light of what you wish to create. This is the foundational skill. Now, we must provide that focus with a blueprint. We must give it a language. For the subconscious mind and the universe at large do not operate on vague intentions. They operate on the precise, powerful, and deeply resonant languages of words and images. These are the building blocks of reality. They are the source code of your personal operating system. To become the deliberate creator of your life, you must become a fluent speaker of this native tongue of creation. Let us first understand the nature of the mind you are working with. Your subconscious mind, the vast, powerful intelligence that runs your bodily functions and stores your deepest beliefs, is not a logical entity. It does not reason, it does not analyze, and most critically, it does not distinguish between an experience that is vividly imagined and an experience that is physically real. To the subconscious, a picture held in the mind with genuine emotion is a reality. A statement repeated with firm conviction is a fact. This is its nature. It is like fertile, impartial soil. It will grow whatever seed you plant within it. without judgment. If you consistently plant seeds of fear and failure, it will yield a harvest of fear and failure. If you consciously and deliberately plant seeds of prosperity and success, it will, by its very nature, yield that harvest instead. For decades, advertisers have masterfully exploited this principle. They don't sell you a product by listing its logical benefits. They sell you a feeling. They show you images of happy, beautiful, successful people using their product, and your subconscious mind forges a link. This product equals that feeling. We are now going to hijack this very mechanism for our own liberation. This is where the inner conflict often arises with its full force. The moment you decide to use this language deliberately, your conscious, analytical mind, the inner skeptic, will rise up in protest. You decide to repeat the statement, "I am a magnet for financial abundance." The skeptic immediately scoffs, looking at your bank account and declaring, "No, you're not. You are lying to yourself." This is foolish. You close your eyes to visualize a life of freedom and ease, and the skeptic bombards you with images of your current problems, whispering, "This is pointless make-believe. Let's get back to worrying about real problems." This voice is powerful because it uses your past and present circumstances as its evidence. But here is the crucial distinction. The skeptic is trying to create your future based on the evidence of the past. The visionary within you knows that you must create your future based on the vision of the future itself. You are not lying to yourself when you affirm a new reality. You are stating a higher truth that is awaiting its materialization. You are not escaping reality. You are architecting a new one. An affirmation is not a description of what is. It is a declaration of what is to come. This is not a new skill you are learning. You have been using affirmations and visualizations your entire life, just unconsciously, and more often than not, negatively. Every time you have said, "I'm so tired," you have spoken a powerful affirmation that instructed your body to feel more fatigued. Every time you have worried about failing a presentation, you have engaged in a detailed visualization of that failure, feeling the anxiety and shame in advance, thereby making that outcome more likely. Your creative power has always been active. The only change now is that you are moving from being an unconscious creator of chaos to a conscious creator of prosperity. You are taking your hand off the rudder that was spinning aimlessly and placing both hands firmly on it, choosing your direction. The first tool in this language is the affirmation. An effective affirmation follows a few simple rules. First, it must be personal, using the words "I am." These are the two most powerful words in any language, for whatever follows them is a direct command to your subconscious. Second, it must be in the present tense, as if it is already true. The subconscious knows only the now. Saying "I will be wealthy" keeps wealth in the future. Saying "I am wealthy" brings the feeling and the frequency of wealth into your now. Third, it must be positive, stating what you want, not what you don't want. Instead of "I am not in debt," which focuses on debt, you say, "I am financially free, and money flows to me easily and abundantly." Finally, and most importantly, an affirmation must be charged with emotion. To simply repeat the words mechanically is of little use. You must feel the truth of them. When you say, "I am surrounded by love and joy," take a moment to actually feel the warmth of love, the lightness of joy. The feeling is the fuel. Create a handful of affirmations that truly resonate with you. Write them down. Say them aloud to yourself in the mirror, looking directly into your own eyes. Record them and listen to them. Make them the new soundtrack of your mind, a deliberate counter-frequency to the old echoes of lack. The second, and perhaps even more potent tool, is visualization. If affirmations are the words of the new story, visualization is the full-color, high-definition movie. This is where you give your subconscious mind the rich, sensory data it craves. Again, this is a practice, a discipline. Set aside 5 to 10 minutes each day. Find your quiet space. Close your eyes and do not just think about your goal. Step into it. If your desire is a beautiful new home, do not just see the house from the outside. In your mind's eye, walk up to the front door. Feel the cool metal of the doorknob in your hand. Hear the sound of the key turning in the lock. Push the door open and step inside. What do you see? What is the quality of the light filtering through the windows? What do you smell? Is it the scent of fresh paint, or flowers in a vase, or something baking in the kitchen? Walk through the rooms. Run your hand along the smooth countertop. Sit on the comfortable sofa. Look out the window at your beautiful garden. But above all, focus on the feeling. How do you feel in this space? Do you feel peaceful, secure, proud, joyful? It is this embodied feeling of the wish fulfilled that is the true magnetic force. It is this feeling that sends the most powerful signal to the universe. You are generating the emotional currency of your future reality in the present moment. This is the alchemy. Let us use our final metaphor for this section. Think of the infinite potential of the universe as a giant, shapeless block of marble. Your current life is the state of the block, as it is now. But within that block of marble, the masterpiece of your desired life already exists as a potential. The inner skeptic sees only the rough, heavy stone. The inner visionary, the sculptor, sees the finished angel, the perfect form, waiting to be revealed. Your affirmations are the sound of the sculptor's chisel striking the stone. Each word is a precise tap, chipping away at the parts that are not the masterpiece. Your visualization is the unwavering image the sculptor holds in his mind's eye, the blueprint that guides every single strike. It is not one loud, violent blow that creates the statue. It is the cumulative effect of thousands of small, consistent, focused strikes over time. The sculptor does not get discouraged after the first day because the stone still looks like a stone. He holds the vision, trusts the process, and keeps chipping away, knowing that with each strike, he is getting closer to revealing the beauty that was always there. This is your work: to hold the vision, to speak the word, to trust the process, and to keep chipping away at the old reality until the new one is revealed. You are now armed with the language of creation. You have the tools to consciously direct your focus using the potent power of words and images, planting the seeds of your desired reality in the fertile soil of your subconscious mind. But what of the soil itself? What if it is hard, rocky, and choked with weeds? What if years of past hurts, old resentments, limiting beliefs, and painful attachments are already growing there, taking up all the space and nutrients? No matter how vibrant your new seed of intention, it will struggle to take root in unprepared ground. Therefore, before we can become masterful gardeners, we must first become masterful weeders. We must learn the sacred and necessary art of clearing the land. We must learn the alchemy of letting go. You have learned the language of creation. You have begun the sacred work of planting new seeds of intention in the garden of your mind, using the powerful tools of focused words and images. You hold the blueprint for a new reality. But as you turn to this fertile ground, you may find that it is not clear. It is overgrown with the stubborn weeds of the past. The soil is hard and compacted with old resentments. The nutrients are being choked by the deep roots of past hurts, regrets, and grievances. Before you can successfully cultivate a new harvest of prosperity, you must first do the holy work of clearing the land. You must learn the profound and liberating alchemy of letting go. This is, for many, the most difficult part of the journey. We believe we want to be free from our past, but on a deeper, subconscious level, we cling to our pain with a white-knuckled grip. Why? Because our pain has become a cornerstone of our identity. The ego, the sense of self that is built on past experiences, finds a strange comfort in its wounds. The story of what they did to me, the story of my terrible failure, the story of how life has been unfair. These narratives, though painful, are familiar. They give us a character to play. I am the survivor. I am the one who was wronged. I am the one who struggles. To let go of the pain feels, to the ego, like letting go of a part of yourself. It is a small death. The known misery of the prison cell can feel safer than the vast, unknown freedom of the world outside its doors. We hold on to our anger because it feels powerful. We hold on to our sadness because it feels validating. We are prisoners who have become so accustomed to our chains that we are terrified of who we might be without them. This creates a profound inner conflict. One part of you, the expansive, limitless soul, yearns to soar. It feels the dead weight of the past, holding it down, and longs to be free. But another part, the conditioned ego, the inner prisoner, resists. It whispers, "Don't let them off the hook. They don't deserve your forgiveness." It warns, if you let go of that failure, you might forget the lesson and fail again. It rationalizes, "This pain made me who I am," and so you remain stuck, trying to fly towards a brilliant future while being anchored to a heavy past. You are trying to plant a garden of abundance on top of a toxic landfill. It cannot work. The old energy must be cleared to make space for the new. Now, let us dismantle the great myths surrounding this process. Letting go is not an act you perform for the benefit of anyone else. Forgiveness is not about condoning harmful behavior or saying that what happened was acceptable. It is not about reconciliation or forgetting. It is the most profoundly self-loving act you can perform. Holding on to resentment, anger, and regret is like grasping a burning piece of coal in your hand with the intention of one day throwing it at the person who hurt you. But while you wait, formulating your case and replaying the injustice, you are the only one getting burned. Your hand is seared, your energy is consumed, and your focus is locked on the coal, unable to receive the gifts the world is trying to offer you. Letting go is the simple, intelligent, liberating act of opening your hand and dropping the coal. Not because the coal has suddenly become harmless, but because you have decided you no longer wish to burn yourself. It is about reclaiming all the vital life force energy that has been leaking into dead moments and dead relationships from the past. Prosperity, peace, and joy require space to enter your life. Letting go is the act of creating that sacred space. We can use another metaphor. Imagine your life is a magnificent hot air balloon. The basket is your body. The burner is your life force, your desire, your spirit. Firing up the burner should cause you to ascend into the boundless sky of your potential. But you are not rising. You are tethered to the ground by thick, heavy ropes. Each rope is attached to a sandbag. Look closely at the labels on these bags. One says, "The betrayal from 10 years ago." Another says, "The shame of that business failure." Another, "Guilt for words I spoke in anger." Another, "The story that I am unlovable." You can fire up your burner with all the affirmations and visualizations in the world, generating immense heat and power, but you will only strain against these tethers. You will not ascend. The essential work is not to fire the burner harder. The essential work is to take a knife and, one by one, cut the ropes. This is the alchemy of letting go. How do we perform this alchemy? We begin with a conscious ritual of release. The subconscious mind loves ceremony and symbolism. Take a piece of paper and a pen. Go to a quiet place where you will not be disturbed, and write. Write it all down. Every person you need to forgive. Every event you are still angry about. Every mistake you are still ashamed of. Every limiting belief about yourself or about money that you are ready to release. Do not censor yourself. Do not judge. Pour the poison out of your system and onto the paper. Fill the page with all the heavy sandbags you have been carrying. When you are done, read it aloud one last time. Acknowledge these stories. Thank them for the lessons they taught you, for the strength they may have forged in you. And then, with a clear and firm intention, declare that you are now complete with them. Their service in your life is over. Then, in a safe manner, burn the paper. As you watch the flames consume the words, watch the smoke rise, visualize all that heavy, dense energy dissolving and dissipating from your life. Feel the lightness as the weight is lifted. If you cannot burn it, tear it into the smallest possible pieces and release it into the wind or water. The physical act is a powerful signal to every level of your being. It declares, "I am free." The second part of this practice is a gentle internal meditation of forgiveness. This is not about forcing a feeling. It is about setting an intention. Find your still, quiet center. Bring to mind a person who has caused you pain. See them in your mind's eye, but do not re-engage with the drama of the story. Simply see them as another flawed, often wounded human being who was acting from their own level of consciousness and pain. Say to them, either silently or aloud, "I see the pain you caused. I no longer wish to carry it. I release you from the prison of my anger. I cut the energetic cord that binds us. I set myself free. I wish you peace on your journey, separate from mine." And visualize a cord of energy connecting you both, being gently and lovingly snipped, freeing you both. Now, perform the most important act of all. Bring an image of yourself to mind. See the you who made mistakes, the you who didn't know better, the you who held on to pain for far too long. Extend that same compassion to yourself. Say, "I forgive you for judging yourself so harshly. I forgive you for carrying this burden for so long. I release you from the prison of your own perfectionism and regret. You did the best you could with the awareness you had. You are free." Breathe in that self-forgiveness. Let it wash through every cell of your body. This is the act that truly cuts the heaviest rope. Each time you perform an act of letting go, you release a sandbag. The balloon lurches upward. You feel a new lightness, a new freedom. The world looks different from a higher altitude. Your perspective expands. You are no longer trapped on the ground, staring at the dirt and the rocks. You are beginning to ascend into the open sky, where the view is limitless. This is a continuous practice. Layers may need to be released over time, but the intention has been set. The process has begun. You have cleared the soil of the most stubborn weeds. You have dropped the hot coal, and your hand is now open, empty, and ready to receive. You have released the heaviest sandbags, and your basket is now light. This creates a powerful, resonant emptiness within you, a sacred vacuum. And the law of the universe states that a vacuum must be filled. The question now becomes, with what energy will you fill this newly created space? You must consciously choose to fill it with the most magnetic, generative, and life-affirming frequency there is. You must fill it with the pure, resonant power of gratitude. You have done the courageous work. You have walked through the shadows of your past, and with love and intention, you have begun to clear the ground. You have dropped the burning coals of resentment. You have cut the heavy ropes of regret. A new space has been created within you. It is a sacred emptiness, a pristine stillness, a vacuum. And the first and most powerful force you must invite into this new inner landscape is the resonant, magnetic, and profoundly creative energy of gratitude. Do not mistake gratitude for a simple courtesy, a polite thank you muttered as an afterthought. That is merely the echo of the real thing. True, deep gratitude is not a behavior. It is a state of being. It is a lens through which you see the world. It is the conscious, heartfelt acknowledgement of the good that is already present in your life. It is the feeling state of receiving, and it is the single most powerful frequency you can embody to attract more good into your experience. Let us explore the alchemy of this force. Your mind, as we have discussed, has a natural tendency to scan for problems, a negativity bias that focuses on what is missing, what is broken, what is yet to be achieved. Gratitude is the direct and potent antidote to this poison. The human brain cannot simultaneously hold the genuine emotion of gratitude and the corrosive emotion of anxiety. It is a neurological impossibility. When you are truly feeling thankful, your body is flooded with chemicals that generate feelings of well-being and contentment. In that moment, worry cannot coexist. Resentment cannot breathe the same air. The feeling of lack dissolves in the powerful solvent of appreciation. Gratitude is the ultimate pattern interrupt. It is the circuit breaker for the endless loop of not enough. It is the conscious decision to turn your back on the illusion of scarcity and to face the undeniable reality of your current blessings. The inner conflict here is subtle but pervasive. It is the struggle between the restless achiever and the grateful heart. The restless achiever is the part of you that is always looking forward. It believes that happiness, contentment, and prosperity lie at the top of the next mountain, behind the door of the next accomplishment. It is fueled by a sense of lack, by the belief that I will be happy when. It fears that if it becomes too grateful for where it is now, it will become complacent and lose its drive. It mistakes gratitude for resignation. The grateful heart, however, operates from a place of profound wisdom. It knows that the journey is the destination. It knows that the power to create a magnificent future comes not from a frantic, desperate striving, but from a deep, joyful appreciation of the present. It understands that motivation fueled by lack is brittle and stressful, while motivation fueled by fullness is sustainable and joyous. The choice is this: will you create from a place of I need or from a place of I have? Gratitude is the master key that unlocks the door to creating from I have. This brings us to the core message, the great cosmic secret of gratitude. Gratitude is the ultimate signal you can send to the universe. It is the most powerful form of prayer, because it is not a prayer of supplication, but a prayer of acknowledgement. When you feel genuine gratitude, you are energetically communicating a powerful message. Message received. The good that you have sent me has been seen, felt, and appreciated. In a universe that operates on the law of like attracts like, this is the most magnetic statement you can make. By feeling grateful for the money you do have, no matter how small the amount, you are vibrating at the frequency of having money. The universe, which is a perfect mirror, must, by law, reflect more circumstances and opportunities that match that vibration. By feeling genuine appreciation for the love and friendship that already exists in your life, you are vibrating at the frequency of being loved, thereby attracting more loving and supportive relationships. Gratitude is the feeling of the wish already fulfilled. It is the thank you you give in advance for the abundance that is already on its way to you. It closes the feedback loop between you and the cosmos, and it says with unshakable certainty, I am open and ready to receive more. So, how do we cultivate this state of being, especially when the old habits of complaint and worry are so deeply ingrained? We do it through conscious, consistent practice. We turn it from a fleeting emotion into a disciplined habit. Your first tool is a physical anchor. Find a small, smooth stone, a gratitude rock. Place it in your pocket. Throughout your day, whenever your hand touches it, let that be your cue. Pause for a single moment and find one thing, just one specific thing in your immediate awareness, for which you feel grateful. It could be the warmth of the sun on your skin, the taste of your coffee, the sound of a child's laughter, the fact that your body is breathing without any effort from you. It doesn't have to be monumental. The goal is to consistently interrupt the stream of unconscious thought and pivot, just for a second, into a state of appreciation. This simple, repeated action trains your focus and builds the neural pathways of gratitude. Your second tool is a powerful form of mental alchemy, the reframing of complaints. Our minds are masters of habitual complaint. We do it so automatically, we don't even notice. The practice is to catch a complaint as it arises and consciously transform it into a statement of gratitude. For example, the thought, "Ugh, I have to sit in traffic on my way to work," arises. Catch it, then reframe it. I am grateful I have a car to sit in and a job to drive to that provides for my life. The thought, I am so tired of doing all this laundry, becomes, I am so grateful that my family and I have plenty of clothes to wear. This is not about lying to yourself or pretending to love chores. It is about shifting your perspective from the burden of the task to the blessing behind it. It is a martial art for the mind, using the negative energy of a complaint and flipping it into the positive energy of appreciation. Each time you do this, you are taking back your power and recasting your reality. Let us return to our metaphor of the radio. Imagine the universe is constantly broadcasting on an infinite number of frequencies. There is a station for misery, and its broadcast is filled with stories of injustice and despair. There is a station for boredom, playing a monotonous, droning sound. And there is a station for prosperity, playing the most beautiful, harmonious music imaginable, symphony of synchronicities, opportunities, and joy. For most of your life, your hand has been unconsciously resting on the tuning dial of lack, worry, or resentment. That is the only station you have been able to hear, so you have assumed it is the only station playing. The practice of gratitude is the act of deliberately, consciously, reaching out and turning that dial. As you begin to focus on appreciation, you turn the knob. The static of the old, negative stations begins to fade, and then you begin to hear it. Faintly at first, then more and more clearly. It is the music of the prosperity station. You realize, with a jolt of joyful recognition, that this beautiful music has been playing all along. You simply weren't tuned to the right frequency to perceive it. Gratitude is the act of tuning your personal receiver to the frequency of universal abundance. As you marinate in this state of gratitude, a profound feeling of fullness will begin to permeate your being. You look at your life not through the lens of what is missing, but through the lens of what is present, and you realize you are already wealthy. You are wealthy in breath, in life, in the love you can give and receive, in the opportunities that surround you. This feeling of being utterly full, of having more than enough, creates a natural and beautiful impulse. A cup that is filled to the brim cannot help but to overflow. The energy of abundance, once it fills you, wants to move. It wants to circulate. It wants to be shared. This deep, grateful recognition of your own fullness is the perfect and necessary prerequisite to the next phase in the circulation of prosperity. It is the state from which you learn the joy of the open palm, the joy of giving. You are now standing in the resonant field of gratitude. You have filled the new, clear space within you with the warm, golden light of appreciation. You have tuned your being to the frequency of abundance, and your cup is full. In this state of profound fullness, a natural, beautiful, and necessary impulse arises. A cup that is full must overflow. A sun that is burning brightly must radiate its light. A being that is filled with the energy of abundance must express that abundance. This expression, this overflow, is the sacred act of giving. We now move from the art of receiving to the art of releasing. We learn the grace of the open palm. In the old paradigm of the scarcity mindset, giving is viewed as a loss. The clenched fist of fear calculates that if you give something away, you will have less. Life is seen as a zero-sum game, a finite pie from which every slice given is a slice lost forever. This belief is the very thing that creates energetic constipation. It dams the flow. The universe is a current of infinite abundance, but it cannot flow into a closed fist. It cannot deliver its gifts to a being who is hoarding their energy, their time, and their resources in fear. The act of clutching, of holding on too tightly, is a powerful affirmation of lack. It sends a loud, clear signal to the universe. I do not trust that more will come. I believe my supply is limited. I am afraid. And the universe, being a perfect mirror, reflects this fear back as a reality of limitation and stagnation. The inner conflict, therefore, is between the fearful inner hoarder and the trusting inner channel. The hoarder looks at its small pile of resources and says, I can't possibly give any of this away. I might need it tomorrow. It's not enough. The channel feels the universal current flowing into it and knows its purpose is not to contain the flow, but to be a conduit for it. The hoarder fears emptiness. The channel understands that it is in the emptying that one creates the space to be filled again and again and again. To embrace the flow of prosperity, you must shift your identity from being a finite reservoir, terrified of running dry, to being an infinite channel, confident that you are connected to an inexhaustible source. This brings us to the core truth of this principle. Giving is one of the most powerful affirmations of abundance you can possibly make. It is an act of supreme faith. When you give, you are not losing anything. You are making a declaration. You are telling yourself, your subconscious mind, and the universe itself, I have more than enough. My source is limitless. I am so confident in the flow that I can release what I have, knowing with absolute certainty that more is on its way. The act of giving is a vote of confidence in an abundant universe, and the universe always rewards such faith. It is a law. The space created by a generous act cannot remain empty. The universe abhors a vacuum and will rush to fill it, often from the most unexpected directions. But the motive must be pure. If you give with the needy expectation of a specific return, you are not truly giving. You are attempting to barter with scarcity. True giving flows from a sense of fullness, with no strings attached. It is a joyful expression of the abundance you already feel. This is where we must radically expand our definition of giving. The scarcity mindset immediately thinks of money, and the inner hoarder says, I don't have enough money to give. But money is only one tiny sliver of the spectrum of what you have to offer. You are a fountain of valuable, life-affirming energy. You can give in countless ways, every single day. Let us explore these. You can give the gift of your undivided attention. In a world of distraction, to offer someone your full, present, listening ear without interrupting or formulating your response is one of the rarest and most precious gifts of all. You can give the gift of appreciation. Offer a sincere, specific compliment to a colleague, a friend, or a stranger. I was so impressed with the way you handled that difficult situation. That color looks magnificent on you. Watch their face light up. In that moment, you have increased the amount of joy in the world. You have been a channel for abundance. You can give the gift of your possessions. Look around your home. It is likely filled with stagnant energy, with clothes you haven't worn in years, books you've already read, tools you no longer use. These things could be a treasure to someone else. The act of decluttering and giving these items away is a profound, energetic practice. It is a physical act of letting go. With each item you release, you are affirming, this has served its purpose in my life, and I now release it with gratitude to serve another. I trust that everything I need in my future will be provided for me. You are clearing out the old to make way for the new. You can also practice anonymous giving, which is powerful because it completely dissolves the ego's need for acknowledgement. Pay for the coffee of the person in line behind you. Leave an anonymous, encouraging note for a coworker. Make a small, anonymous donation to a cause you believe in. These acts are purely about keeping the energy of generosity in motion, for the pure joy of it. Think of yourself not as a container but as a conduit. A reservoir that is dammed up that never has an outflow will soon become stagnant. The water will grow algae, it will become lifeless. A river, however, is constantly in motion. It is always receiving from its source upstream and always giving to the ocean downstream. Because it is always flowing, the water remains fresh, clear, oxygenated, and teeming with life. Your purpose is to be that river. Allow the abundance of the universe to flow to you through acts of gratitude, and allow it to flow through you in acts of giving. This circulation is the key to a healthy, vibrant, and prosperous energetic system. When you feel stuck, when money is tight, when opportunities seem scarce, your first instinct might be to clench your fist tighter, to hoard what little you have. The radical, counterintuitive, and correct action is to do the opposite. Find something to give. Give $1, give a compliment, give an hour of your time. This act of giving, especially when it feels difficult, is the very thing that breaks the dam of scarcity and reestablishes the flow. It is a powerful act of faith that tells the universe you are ready to be a channel again. When you live with an open palm, you discover a beautiful paradox. The more you give away, the more you seem to have. The more you pour out, the more you are filled up. You begin to live in a state of grace and ease, knowing that you are a beloved and essential part of a dynamic, flowing, and infinitely abundant universal system. Your personal sense of wealth expands beyond your bank account and comes to include the richness of your relationships, the value you provide to others, and the joy you feel in the simple act of circulation. You are no longer just a participant in the economy of money. You are a master of the economy of energy. This entire process of receiving with gratitude and giving with joyous, a beautiful dance. It is the inhale and the exhale of a prosperous life. This circulation, this flow of energy from the universe to you and through you, is not random or chaotic. It is governed by an elegant, precise, and unwavering universal law. To become a true master of this dance, we must now turn our attention to the invisible force that choreographs it all. We must explore the underlying mechanism that dictates why like attracts like, why giving creates receiving, and why your inner state is the blueprint for your outer world. We must now investigate the silent, powerful, and ever-present force of unseen magnetism. We have journeyed through the inner landscapes of the mind and heart. We have learned to quiet the echoes of lack, to sit in the creative power of stillness, to observe the river of thought, to honor the currency of emotion, to direct the lens of focus, to speak the language of creation, and to clear the soil by letting go. We have filled our inner space with the resonant frequency of gratitude and have learned the joy of keeping that energy moving through the open palm of giving. All of these practices, all of these shifts in perspective, are not merely psychological tricks or pleasant philosophies. They are the practical application of a fundamental, impersonal, and unerring law of the universe. This law operates as silently and as consistently as the law of gravity. It is the invisible force that organizes reality. It is the unseen magnetism that choreographs the dance of creation. This principle is often called the law of attraction, a term that has become both popular and widely misunderstood. Let us demystify it and understand it for what it truly is: a law of energy, a law of resonance. The foundation of this law is simple. Everything is energy. The chair you are sitting on, the body you inhabit, the air you are breathing, all are vibrating fields of energy. Your thoughts are energy. As we have discovered, your emotions are energy in motion. Every thought and every feeling has its own unique vibrational frequency. The feeling of despair vibrates at a very low, slow, heavy frequency. The feeling of joy vibrates at a very high, fast, light frequency. You, as a thinking, feeling being, are a walking, talking transmission tower, constantly broadcasting a complex vibrational signal out into the universe. The law of resonance states that which is like unto itself is drawn. A tuning fork vibrating at the note of C will cause another C tuning fork across the room to begin vibrating in sympathy, while a G tuning fork will remain silent. They are not on the same frequency. In the same way, the vibrational frequency you are broadcasting through your dominant emotional state attracts people, circumstances, and experiences that are a vibrational match. It is not magic, it is physics. If your dominant broadcast is one of frustration and resentment, you will find yourself coincidentally in more situations that bring you frustration and resentment. If your dominant broadcast is one of gratitude and peace, you will find yourself coincidentally in more situations that bring you peace and things to be grateful for. The universe is not judging you or rewarding you. It is simply matching your frequency with perfect, impartial accuracy. Herein lies the great inner conflict when confronting this law. It is the battle between the rational mind and the intuitive heart. The inner scientist in you demands proof. It scoffs at the idea that your feelings could influence the external world. It explains away synchronicities as mere coincidence, as the brain's confirmation bias at work. It wants a linear, mechanical, predictable explanation that it can measure and quantify. And from its limited perspective, it is right to be skeptical. But the inner mystic in you, the deeper, wiser self, knows better. The mystic has felt the truth of this law. It has experienced thinking of an old friend, only to have them call moments later. It has felt a sense of dread before receiving bad news. It has noticed that on days when it feels joyful and optimistic, the world seems to cooperate, traffic lights turn green, and strangers smile. The mystic doesn't need external proof because it feels the intricate, invisible web of connection that links everything together. The great leap of faith on this journey is to trust the wisdom of the mystic over the limitations of the scientist. You do not need to understand the complex principles of electricity to flip a switch and turn on a light. You do not need to understand the quantum mechanics of magnetism to use a magnet. You simply need to accept the principle and learn how to apply it. This leads us to the most crucial and transformative reframe of this entire law. You do not attract what you want. You attract who you are. This is the piece that most people miss. They make lists of their wants, they shout their desires into the void, and they wonder why nothing happens. They are wanting abundance while being scarcity. They are wanting love while being fear. They are wanting peace while being chaos. The universe does not respond to your list of wants. It responds to your state of being. Your job is not to chase after the thing you desire. Your job is to become the person who is a vibrational match to the thing you desire. The central question of creation is not, what do I need to get? It is, who do I need to be? If you desire a life filled with loving, supportive relationships, you must first be a loving, supportive person, both to yourself and to others. If you desire a life of wealth and financial freedom, you must be a person who embodies the frequency of wealth, a person who is grateful, generous, and who feels a sense of ease and trust around money, regardless of their current bank balance. The work is always internal. You are not trying to manipulate the external world. You are transforming your inner world, your vibrational signature, and trusting that the external world must, by law, rearrange itself to match. This makes the process practical and places the power squarely back in your hands. So how do you practice this? How do you consciously become a vibrational match to your desires? You begin by identifying the core emotional state that you believe the fulfillment of your desire will bring. Look past the material object or the specific circumstance. Do you want $1 million? Or do you want the feeling of freedom and security you believe the money will provide? Do you want the perfect partner? Or do you want the feeling of profound love, connection, and acceptance? Drill down to the essence. Let's say the core feeling you seek is freedom. Your work, then, is to practice the vibration of freedom now. Ask yourself, how can I feel a small taste of freedom today, right now? Perhaps it means going for a walk without your phone. Perhaps it means saying no to an obligation that feels heavy. Perhaps it means spending an hour doing something you truly love. These small acts are vibrational practice. You are teaching your body, your cells, your entire energy field what freedom feels like. You are becoming the C-tuning fork, and the universe must then bring you more experiences that match that note. Think of yourself as a living magnet. Your dominant emotional state determines your magnetic polarity. For years, you may have been unknowingly polarized to attract experiences of struggle and lack. Now, through all the practices we have discussed, you are consciously working to change your polarity. You are setting your frequency to peace, to joy, to abundance. The most beautiful thing about a magnet is its effortlessness. A magnet does not strain or struggle to attract iron filings. It does not worry about whether it is worthy of the iron filings. It simply is magnetic, and the iron, by its nature, is drawn to it. Your work is to simply be magnetic, to focus on tending to your own vibrational state, on cultivating your inner garden, on cleaning your inner house, Become so rooted in a state of gratitude, peace, and abundance that it becomes your natural way of being. As you do this, the people, the resources, and the opportunities that match this new frequency will be drawn into your life, not through frantic effort, but through the simple, powerful, unseen magnetism of universal law. As you become this living magnet, embodying the frequency of your desires, you will begin to feel a new kind of impulse. It is a gentle nudge, a sudden idea, a coincidental phone call, a pull to go to a certain place at a certain time. This is the universe responding to your new vibration. It is beginning to orchestrate the physical reality to match your inner reality. But this orchestration requires your participation. The law does not advocate for passivity, for simply sitting on your couch and waiting for abundance to knock on your door. It requires you to act. But it is a very specific kind of action. It is not the old action of struggle, of forcing, of hustling from a place of fear and lack. It is a new kind of action that feels different. It feels light, joyful, and effortless. It feels like you are being pulled rather than pushing. This is the dance of inspired action. And learning the steps to that dance is our next great task. You are now a living magnet, a resonant field of energy consciously tuned to the frequency of your desires. You have done the profound inner work of aligning your being with the state of abundance, peace, and love. You have become the C tuning fork, vibrating with clarity and power. An understandable question then arises from the quiet, logical mind. What now? Do I simply sit and wait for my desires to fall from the sky? Here, we must correct a great misunderstanding that leads to passivity and frustration. The universe is not a cosmic delivery service that you order from and then wait for at the door. It is a dance partner, and it is inviting you onto the floor. But this is a new kind of dance, one that is not led by the frantic, forceful ego, but by the graceful, flowing rhythm of spirit. This is the dance of inspired action. To understand this new dance, we must first clearly distinguish it from the old one. For most of your life, you have been engaged in action, born of struggle. This is the action that comes from the mind of scarcity. It feels heavy. It feels like pushing a boulder uphill. It is rooted in the belief, I have to make this happen. If I don't force it, control it, and worry about it constantly, it will all fall apart. This type of action involves excessive planning, overthinking, and a desperate attempt to manipulate every outcome. It is the hustle and grind mentality that celebrates exhaustion as a badge of honor. The underlying emotion of this action is always fear. Fear of failure, fear of not being enough, fear of missing out. It is swimming against the current, and it is why you have often felt so tired, so burnt out. Inspired action is different. It is action born of fullness, of alignment, of flow. It does not feel like pushing a boulder. It feels like riding a wave. It is light, energizing, and often effortless. It does not come from the anxious, calculating mind. It arises as a whisper, a gentle nudge, a sudden, quiet knowing from the deeper well of your intuition. It is not about making something happen, but about joyfully participating in something that is already happening on an energetic level. The underlying emotion of inspired action is trust and excitement. It is swimming with the current, and it is why it feels so graceful and powerful. The inner conflict here is between the inner controller and the intuitive dancer. The inner controller is the part of you that believes in the illusion of control. It needs a 5-year plan with every step mapped out. It is terrified of uncertainty. It demands guarantees before it will take a single step. It will keep you in a state of analysis paralysis, endlessly weighing pros and cons, because it is too afraid to simply trust the flow. The intuitive dancer, however, operates on a different kind of wisdom. It does not need to see the entire path. It only needs to feel the next step. It trusts that as it takes the first step, the light will illuminate the second. It is willing to be led by the music of the universe, responding in real time to the rhythm it feels. Your journey to prosperity requires you to gently let the inner controller take a rest and allow the intuitive dancer to take the lead. The core message is this: your primary work is to align your energy. That is your part of the creative bargain. Once you have done that, the universe, in its infinite intelligence, begins its work. Its job is to orchestrate the how. It begins to arrange synchronicities, to open doors, to line up opportunities, to connect you with the right people. It begins to send you the wind for your sails. Inspired action is your response to this wind. It is you taking the rudder and cooperating with the current. The universe might present you with an idea, sudden, clear thought to start a new kind of business. The universe might present you with a connection, a friend, mentioning someone you should talk to. The universe might present you with an opportunity, an email in your inbox about a course you were just thinking about. Your inspired action is to say yes to these nudges. It is to make the call, to write the business plan, to enroll in the course. You are a co-creator with the divine. The universe handles the grand orchestration. You handle the joyful moment-to-moment response. So, how do you learn to recognize these inspired nudges? They have a distinct feel, different from the frantic thoughts of the ego. Inspired ideas often arise when your conscious mind is relaxed and quiet, when you are in the shower, on a walk in nature, meditating, or just as you are drifting off to sleep. This is because the signal from your higher self can finally get through the static of your everyday thinking. An inspired thought feels expansive. It brings with it a sense of excitement, curiosity, and a feeling of rightness, even if it doesn't make logical sense. An anxious, ego-based thought feels contractive. It is usually accompanied by pressure, urgency, and fear. Learn to feel the difference in your body. An inspired idea makes you feel lighter. An anxious idea makes you feel heavier. Once you receive an inspired nudge, it is crucial that you honor it with prompt action. This does not mean you have to complete the entire project in one day. It simply means you must take one small, immediate step to acknowledge the impulse. If you get a sudden idea to write a book, your inspired action is to open a document and write the first paragraph, or simply to buy a new notebook for the project. If you get the nudge to connect with someone, your inspired action is to send the email or the text message right now. This small act of immediate obedience is a powerful signal to the universe. It says, I am listening, I am paying attention, I am a willing and active partner in my own creation. Send me more. This creates a powerful feedback loop. The more you act on your inspiration, the more inspiration you will be given. You are building a relationship of trust with the creative flow of life. Let us perfect our metaphor. All the inner work you have done, the focus, the gratitude, the letting goes, the act of preparing your ship and raising your sail, you are making yourself seaworthy. You are positioning yourself to catch the wind. You cannot create the wind. The wind is the grace of the universe, the flow of spirit, the movement of opportunity. You can sit in a harbor with your sail down forever, and even a hurricane will not move you. But when you have your sail raised, when your vibration is aligned, you are ready. Inspired action is what you do when you feel the first gentle breeze fill that sail. You don't start frantically rowing the boat. That would be action from struggle. Instead, you calmly take the rudder in your hand. You feel the direction the wind is already moving you in, and you make small, gentle adjustments to your course to cooperate with it. You are using the power of the wind to carry you forward. The journey feels effortless, graceful, and swift, because you are not providing the power yourself. You are simply directing the immense power that is being given to you freely. This dance is a beautiful, flowing interchange between you and the cosmos. You align. The universe provides an impulse. You act on it. The universe responds by providing the next impulse. It is a moment-to-moment unfolding, an adventure in trust. However, to pretend this dance is always seamless would be dishonest. As you begin to take these inspired actions, as you steer your ship out of the safe, familiar harbor and into the open sea of your potential, you will almost certainly encounter something. You will encounter waves. You will encounter storms. You will encounter the fog of your own fear and the powerful undertow of your old conditioning. This is not a sign that you have done something wrong or that the universe has abandoned you. It is a necessary and predictable part of the journey. It is a sign that you have come face to face with the shadow of resistance, and learning how to navigate this force without losing your course is our next vital lesson. You are now in the dance. You have learned to recognize the whispers of inspiration, and you have begun to move in graceful cooperation with the universe. You are steering your ship out of the familiar harbor. Your sail is full, and your heart is set on a new horizon. The journey feels light, exhilarating, and full of promise. And then it happens. A thick fog of doubt rolls in. The wind of inspiration seems to die down. An inexplicable heaviness settles over you, as if a great anchor has been dropped from the bottom of your own vessel, pulling you to a halt. You know what you need to do. The next inspired step is clear, but you find yourself unable to act. You procrastinate. You get distracted. You suddenly feel overwhelmingly tired. This frustrating, paralyzing, and often maddening experience has a name. It is resistance, and your relationship with it will determine whether you continue your journey or turn back to the safety of the harbor. First, you must understand that the appearance of resistance is not a sign that you have done something wrong. It is not a punishment from the universe or an indication that you are on the wrong path. On the contrary, resistance is an inevitable, necessary, and profoundly meaningful sign that you are making real progress. It is a testament to the fact that you are moving powerfully in the direction of significant change. The ego, your conditioned sense of self, is a creature of habit. Its primary directive is to keep you safe, and its definition of safe is what is familiar. Your old life, with all its limitations and frustrations, was a known quantity. It was a predictable pain. Your new, expansive, prosperous life is an unknown, and to the ego, the unknown is always dangerous. Resistance is the ego's emergency brake system. It is your mind's self-preservation mechanism kicking into overdrive, trying to pull you back from the perceived cliff of change into the comfort zone of what has always been. This gives rise to a deep and frustrating inner conflict, a form of self-sabotage that can feel like a civil war. It is the visionary within you, the one who sees the new horizon, versus the saboteur, the one who is secretly drilling holes in the boat. The visionary wakes up, filled with inspiration to work on a new project. But the saboteur, whose job is to protect you from the potential failure or even the potential success of that project, will suddenly flood your mind with 1,000 other urgent tasks. It will make you feel exhausted. It will whisper all the reasons your idea is foolish. The saboteur is not malicious. It genuinely believes it is protecting you from the sea monsters of judgment, criticism, rejection, and the overwhelming responsibility that comes with a bigger life. You are left in a state of paralysis, wanting to move forward but feeling held back by an invisible, powerful force. This is the feeling of your foot being on the accelerator and the brake at the same time. It creates an immense amount of inner friction and burns through your life force energy. Here is the essential reframe that will transform your relationship with this force forever. Resistance is not your enemy. It is your most valuable teacher. It is not a wall blocking your path. It is a divine compass pointing you directly toward your greatest opportunity for growth. The place where you feel the most resistance is the exact location of your most deeply buried treasure, the limiting belief that, once unearthed and healed, will unlock your greatest power. Your old strategy was to fight the resistance, to try and push through it with brute force. This is like trying to win a wrestling match with your own shadow. It is exhausting, and you are only fighting yourself. The new strategy is to stop pushing. Turn around, face the resistance, and get curious. Treat it not as an adversary, but as a wise, albeit fearful, messenger. When you feel the familiar drag of procrastination or the heavy blanket of doubt descend upon you, begin a gentle inquiry. Pause, take a breath, and ask the resistance, as if it were a separate part of you, a simple question. What are you trying to protect me from? Listen for the first answer that arises from the quiet depths of your being. Then ask, what am I afraid will happen if I actually succeed at this? This question is often more potent than asking about the fear of failure. The fear of success, the fear of being seen, of new responsibilities, of outshining others, of no longer fitting in is often a far more powerful saboteur. Continue the inquiry. What old story about myself does this new action threaten? What part of my old identity would have to die for this new reality to be born? You are not interrogating the resistance, you are interviewing it. You are bringing its unconscious fears into the light of your compassionate awareness. A powerful practice is to engage in a written dialogue with this shadow aspect of yourself. Take out your journal. On one side, write as your conscious, visionary self. On the other, allow the resisting saboteur part of you to answer. Let the visionary ask, why did you make me scroll on my phone for an hour when I wanted to work on my business plan? And then, without censoring, write the saboteur's honest answer. It might say, because if you write that plan, you might actually start the business. And if you start the business, you might fail and lose all your money and be humiliated. I was keeping you safe in the familiar world of just dreaming about it. In this dialogue, you give a voice to the fear. You allow it to be heard. And very often, once a fear is truly seen and heard by your conscious, loving self, its power begins to dissolve. It is no longer an unseen monster in the dark, but a frightened child that needs reassurance. Let us embrace a new metaphor. Resistance is like the drag of water when you swim. If you are standing still in a pool, you feel no resistance at all. It is only when you push off from the wall and begin to move forward that you feel the pressure of the water against your body, your arms, your legs. A novice swimmer might interpret this as the water fighting against them, trying to hold them back. But an experienced swimmer understands that this resistance is a necessary and unavoidable consequence of motion. In fact, the drag is precisely what they use. They cup their hands and push against that pressure to propel themselves forward. I want you to start thinking of your inner resistance in the same way. When you feel it, your first thought should not be, "Oh no, I'm stuck." Your first thought should be, "Ah, wonderful. This feeling is confirmation that I am moving. The fact that I feel this pressure means I am no longer standing still." The stronger the resistance, the more profound the shift you are moving towards. By seeing resistance as a teacher, a compass, and a confirmation of your own movement, you cease to be its victim. You are no longer fighting it or fleeing from it. You are using it. You are learning from its wisdom and using its pressure as leverage for your own growth. You are becoming an alchemist, turning the lead of fear into the gold of awareness. This mature, compassionate approach to your own inner friction is a hallmark of true self-mastery. However, understanding the resistance is only the first step. To continue moving through it, especially when it is strong, requires a new kind of inner strength. It cannot be the brute force of the ego, for that only creates more conflict. It must be a strength that is both unyieldingly firm in its direction and infinitely compassionate in its application. It is a strength born not of war, but of love. This is the strength we will find in the sacred fire of loving discipline. You have turned to face the shadow of resistance. You have learned to see it not as an enemy, but as a wise teacher, pointing you toward your deepest fears and limiting beliefs. You have sat with it, you have listened to its message, and you have brought its unconscious power into the light of your awareness. The question that naturally follows is, how do we now move forward? Especially when the pull of old habits and the fog of fear are strong. To simply understand the resistance is not enough. We need a force to carry us through it, a force that is stronger than fear. This force is discipline, but we must immediately throw out the old definition of this word. For most of us, discipline is a cold, hard word. It brings to mind punishment, deprivation, and the grim, joyless force of will. This is the discipline of the ego, a battle fought against oneself. The force we will now cultivate is of an entirely different nature. We will learn to wield the sacred fire of loving discipline. Loving discipline is not an act of self-punishment. It is the ultimate act of self-respect. It stems from the profound understanding that you love your future self enough to do what is uncomfortable today. It is the active, conscious choice to honor the vision you hold for your life over the fleeting comfort of the moment. Think of it as being the wise, compassionate parent to your own inner child. The inner child, the part of you that seeks pleasure and avoids pain, will always want the instant gratification. It wants to hit the snooze button, to eat the sugary food, to scroll on the phone instead of meditating. A neglectful parent gives the child whatever it wants in the moment, leading to long-term harm. A tyrannical parent shames and punishes the child for its desires, leading to rebellion and resentment. A loving parent, a wise guardian, acknowledges the child's desire for comfort but gently and firmly guides it toward the choice that serves its highest good. Loving discipline is you becoming that wise guardian for yourself. The inner conflict here is one that plays out every single day. It is the battle between the lure of the easy and the call of the essential. It is the immediate, seductive comfort of your old comfort zone versus the perceived difficulty of the actions that will actually liberate you. When you choose to get up and meditate, even for 1 minute, you are casting a vote for your future peace over your present lethargy. When you choose to work on your creative project instead of numbing out with television, you are casting a vote for your future fulfillment over your present desire for escape. Each of these choices is an act of discipline, and each act is a declaration. It is a declaration that you are worthy of the life you are creating. It is a declaration that your dreams are more important than your doubts. Here, we must reframe the very purpose of discipline. It is not an iron cage designed to restrict your freedom. It is a supportive trellis designed to enable it. Imagine a beautiful climbing rose. Left on its own, it will sprawl across the ground, becoming a tangled, weak mess. It will be unable to reach the sunlight, and its blossoms will be few, mired in the dirt. Is the rose free, number? It is a slave to its own lack of structure. Now, imagine providing that same rose with a strong, elegant trellis. The trellis does not force the rose to grow, but it provides the necessary structure, the guidance, and the support for the rose to climb upwards toward the light. With this structure, the rose can grow strong, resilient, and express its full potential, covering the trellis in a magnificent cascade of fragrant blossoms. Your discipline, your commitments, your routines, your daily practice seizes that trellis. It does not limit you. It liberates you by giving your aspirations a form to grow into, a direction to reach for. Discipline is the architecture of your ascent. Let us explore the metaphor of the blacksmith's forge. You, in your raw potential, are a bar of iron. You are strong but unformed. Your higher self, the wise guardian, is the blacksmith who sees not just a bar of iron, but a magnificent, sharp, and resilient sword waiting to be revealed. To transform the iron into the sword, the blacksmith must use two things: fire and a hammer. The fire of the forge represents the necessary discomfort of growth, the heat of facing your resistance. The hammer represents the consistent, repeated, daily action of your discipline. The blacksmith does not hate the iron. The blacksmith holds a deep love and respect for the iron and a powerful vision for what it can become. He applies the fire and the hammer not to destroy the iron, but to purify it, to burn away its impurities, to strengthen its molecular structure, and to shape it into an object of beauty, purpose, and immense strength. This process is intense. It is loud. It requires heat and pressure. But it is an act of loving transformation. Your daily discipline is you, as the blacksmith, choosing to step into the fire and hammer yourself into the person you were born to be. So how do we build this sacred fire in a practical way? We begin not with a roaring inferno, but with a single, tiny, unquenchable spark. We begin with a micro-commitment. Choose one action that serves your vision and make a promise to yourself to perform it every single day, but reduce the scale so dramatically that it becomes almost impossible to say no to. If you want to meditate, do not commit to 30 minutes. Commit to 1 minute. If you want to write a book, do not commit to a chapter. Commit to writing 1 sentence. If you want to get fit, do not commit to an hour at the gym. Commit to doing 1 push-up. The goal here is not the immediate result. The goal is to build the identity of a person who keeps their promises to themselves. For most of us, our self-trust account is severely overdrawn. We have broken so many promises to ourselves that on a subconscious level, we no longer believe our own intentions. This tiny, unbreakable promise is how you begin to rebuild that trust. A 1-minute meditation is so small that the inner child cannot reasonably protest. The ego can barely muster the energy to create resistance against it. And when you do it, you have fulfilled your promise. You have won for the day. At the end of the day, you can look yourself in the mirror and say, "I did what I said I would do." Each day you keep this promise, you make a small deposit into your self-trust account. Slowly but surely, the balance begins to grow. As your self-trust increases, you can gradually increase the duration of your commitment. The 1 minute becomes 5. The 1 sentence becomes a paragraph. The 1 push-up becomes 10. You are building momentum not through a massive, unsustainable burst of willpower, but through the quiet, unstoppable power of consistency. This consistency is the rhythm of the blacksmith's hammer, steadily shaping your character. This loving discipline becomes the engine that drives you through the heart of resistance. When the fog of doubt rolls in, your discipline is the compass that keeps you pointed in the right direction. When you feel the pull of procrastination, your discipline is the anchor that holds you to your purpose. It is a force born of self-love, and it is therefore more powerful than the force of fear that fuels resistance. You are no longer trying to fight fear with fear. You are meeting fear with love, with commitment, with devotion to your own becoming. As you practice this, you will notice that this entire process of transformation does not happen overnight. The rose does not climb the trellis in a day. The blacksmith does not forge a sword with a single strike of the hammer. Your discipline allows you to stay the course, to remain consistent in your actions, day after day. This naturally brings us to the element of time. Our ego has its own desired schedule. It wants the seed to become a mighty tree instantly. But the universe operates on a different, more sacred timeline. To truly live in grace and power, we must learn to align our own disciplined efforts with the profound, unhurried, and perfect wisdom of cosmic timing. We must learn to trust not only in our own efforts, but in the sacred timing of the universe. You have stepped into the fire of loving discipline. You have committed to the steady, consistent, daily actions that are shaping you into the person you wish to become. You are the blacksmith at the forge, patiently hammering the iron. You are the climbing rose, steadily ascending the trellis. This commitment to the process brings you face to face with one of the most challenging and transformative lessons on the spiritual path, the lesson of time. Your ego has a timeline. It has a detailed schedule for when your desires should manifest, when your goals should be met, when your prosperity should arrive. And when the universe does not adhere to this schedule, the ego panics. This panic, this deep-seated anxiety about when, is the essence of impatience. And impatience is one of the most potent forms of resistance you will encounter. Impatience is not a minor character flaw. It is a profound expression of distrust. It is the voice of the ego declaring that it knows better than the infinite intelligence of the cosmos. It is the fearful assumption that if things are not happening on your preferred schedule, then something is wrong, that you have failed, or that the universe has forgotten you. This state of frantic, anxious energy is deeply counterproductive. It lowers your vibration, creating a frequency of doubt and scarcity, a scarcity of time itself. You cannot rush your own becoming. You cannot force a flower to bloom by prying its petals open. You will only destroy it. There is a sacred, organic, and perfect rhythm to all of creation, and your task is not to force that rhythm, but to learn to dance with it. This introduces the inner conflict between the impatient ego and the trusting soul. The impatient ego is like a small child on a long journey, constantly asking from the back seat, "Are we there yet?" It believes that all joy, peace, and fulfillment reside solely at the destination, and that the journey itself is merely an obstacle to be endured as quickly as possible. It is obsessed with the outcome and blind to the beauty of the unfolding. The trusting soul, your deeper, wiser self, understands a more profound truth. It knows that all creation follows a natural law of gestation. A human child takes 9 months. A mighty oak tree takes decades. A star takes eons. There is an unseen, intelligent process at work that cannot be rushed. The trusting soul finds its joy not just in the future destination, but in the process of the journey itself. It knows that the person you are becoming along the way is the true prize. Your work is to soothe the frantic child of your ego and to rest in the quiet, unshakable wisdom of your soul. The core message you must integrate is one of deep surrender and trust. You are a co-creator with the universe, but you are the junior partner in this enterprise. The universe, with its capacity to manage trillions of variables simultaneously, is the master orchestrator. While you are focusing on your part, aligning your energy, taking your inspired actions, applying your loving discipline, the universe is handling its part. It is aligning the perfect people, arranging the ideal circumstances, clearing the path, and weaving together a tapestry of events so complex and elegant that your conscious mind could never comprehend it. Very often, what we perceive as a delay is, from a higher perspective, a period of divine preparation. Perhaps you are not yet ready to handle the success you have asked for. Perhaps the person you need to meet is not yet in the right place. Perhaps a better opportunity, one you cannot yet see, is being lined up. Divine timing is always perfect timing, precisely because it takes into account the entire cosmic picture, not just your limited egoic view. To trust in this is the ultimate act of faith. How, then, do we practice this trust in a world that screams for instant results? The first step is to consciously practice releasing the outcome. At the end of your day, or after you have completed your disciplined action, perform a small ritual of surrender. Close your eyes. See the desire you are working toward. Feel the love you have for it. And then, in your mind, place it into a beautiful box, wrap it in light, and consciously hand it over to the universe. Say internally, "I have done my part with love and diligence today. I now release the how and the when to a wisdom greater than my own. I trust that this is unfolding in perfect harmony for my highest good." This act of release takes the immense pressure off your shoulders. It frees you from the exhausting job of trying to be the general manager of the universe. It allows you to be present, peaceful, and focused only on what is yours to do, which is the work of today. The second practice is to fall in love with the journey. The ego is so fixated on the future moment of arrival that it completely misses the richness of the now. You must consciously shift your focus from the destination to the process. If you are writing a book, find joy in the feel of the pen on the page, in the thrill of crafting the perfect sentence. Do not live only for the future day when you are a published author. Live for the joy of being a writer today. If you are building a business, find satisfaction in solving a difficult problem, in connecting with a client, in learning a new skill. Do not live only for the future day when your business is a massive success. Live for the fulfillment of being an entrepreneur today. By celebrating the small victories and honoring the person you are becoming through the discipline, You infuse the entire journey with a high vibration. This not only makes the waiting period joyful, but it also collapses time and magnetizes your desire to you more quickly because you are consistently living in the happy, fulfilled state you were seeking in the first place. Our guiding metaphor for this lesson is that of the wise farmer. The farmer wishes to grow a crop. He cannot simply demand that wheat appear. He must work in partnership with the laws of nature. He diligently prepares the soil, clearing it of rocks and weeds. This is your work of letting go. He carefully plants the highest quality seeds with clear intention. This is your work of visualization and affirmation. He waters the seeds consistently every day, even when there is no visible sign of growth. This is your loving discipline. And then he surrenders. He trusts. He does not dig up the seed every morning to check on its progress, for he knows this would kill it. He does not stand in the field and shout at the ground, demanding that it sprout on his schedule. He knows that an unseen, miraculous process is happening in the darkness of the earth, a process he cannot see but deeply trusts. He trusts the sun, he trusts the rain, and he trusts the seasons. He has faith in the sacred timing of nature. Your desires are the seeds you have planted in the fertile soil of the universe. You must learn to be that wise farmer. Do your part with love and diligence, and then have the wisdom and faith to allow the natural, unhurried, and perfect laws of creation to do their part. As you cultivate this deep sense of trust, a quiet peace will settle over you. The frantic need to control, to know, to rush will begin to fade. You will relax into the rhythm of your own becoming. But in this period of patient waiting and trusting, how do you keep your faith strong? How do you know that your seeds have been received, that the process is indeed working in the unseen realms? The universe, in its infinite compassion, does not leave you in total darkness. As you continue to do your part, it will begin to send you messages of encouragement. It will leave you little clues, like breadcrumbs on the path, to let you know that your order has been processed and that your creation is on its way. It speaks to you in a quiet, symbolic language. To maintain your trust during the great gestation, you must learn to recognize these winks from the cosmos. You must learn the language of signs and synchronicities. You have surrendered your personal timeline and are now resting in a state of profound trust, knowing that your desires are unfolding in the perfect way at the perfect time. You are the wise farmer who, after planting his seeds and watering them with discipline, waits with patient faith for the unseen miracle of growth. But the universe, in its infinite compassion, does not ask you to wait in a void of silent uncertainty. During this sacred period of gestation, it sends you confirmations. It communicates with you. It leaves you a trail of celestial breadcrumbs to reassure you that your intention has been heard and that the grand orchestration is underway. To maintain your faith and joy during the journey, you must learn to read this subtle, symbolic, and often playful language. You must learn the language of signs and synchronicities. What is a synchronicity? It is a coincidence that is so meaningful, so perfectly timed, that it strikes a deep chord of recognition within you, making you feel for a moment that the entire universe has conspired on your behalf. You are wrestling with a problem, and you randomly open a book to a page that contains the exact answer you need. You decide to finally pursue a long-held dream, and that very afternoon, you see a billboard with a message that speaks directly to that dream. You think of a person you haven't spoken to in years, and your phone rings with their name on the screen. These are not mere accidents. They are moments when the veil between the inner world of your intention and the outer world of physical reality becomes thin. They are echoes of your own aligned energy being reflected back to you. The logical, rational part of your mind, the inner scientist, will rush to dismiss these events. It will say, it's just a coincidence. You're engaging in confirmation bias. You were thinking about it, so you just noticed it more. And on a mechanical level, this is partially true. Your focus does make you more likely to notice certain things, but this explanation misses the magic entirely. It fails to ask the deeper question, why was your focus guided to that specific thing at that specific moment? The true coincidence is not in the event itself, but in the exquisite timing of the event in relation to your own state of consciousness. The universe is using the mechanisms of your own perception to deliver a personalized message. To dismiss this as just a coincidence is to deliberately choose to live in a dead, random world. To acknowledge it as a synchronicity is to choose to live in a living, intelligent, and responsive universe that is in constant communication with you. Your inner conflict, then, is between the loud voice of the rationalist and the quiet knowing of the believer within you. The rationalist needs proof, data, and repeatable experiments. It is uncomfortable with mystery. The believer, your intuitive soul, needs only the feeling. It feels the jolt of electricity, the shiver of recognition, the profound sense of being seen and heard by something vast and benevolent. On this path, you must learn to honor the feeling over the argument. You must give more weight to the wisdom of your soul than to the skepticism of your mind. Your intuition knows when a message has been delivered. The core message is this: the universe is always talking to you. The question is not whether it is speaking, but whether you are listening. Its language is not loud or demanding. It is subtle. It speaks in symbols, in numbers, in snippets of song, in the unexpected appearance of an animal, in overheard conversations. Have you ever noticed yourself seeing the same sequence of numbers over and over, 1111, 222, 444? These are not random. Think of them as little digital waves from the cosmos, a nod from your spiritual guides or higher self. They are gentle affirmations saying, pay attention, you are in a state of alignment. What you are thinking and feeling right now is important. When you receive a sign like this, there is no need to rush to a book to decode its precise, intricate meaning. The primary message is always the same. We are with you. You are on the right path. Keep going. To become more fluent in this language, begin the simple practice of keeping a synchronicity journal. At the end of each day, write down any meaningful coincidences, signs, or strange connections that occurred. This act of writing them down does two things. First, it honors the experience. It signals to the universe that you are paying attention, which in turn encourages more of these communications to flow to you. You are entering into a conscious dialogue. Second, it allows you to see the patterns over time. An isolated incident can be dismissed as a coincidence, but a journal filled with dozens of such incidents over weeks and months becomes a powerful testament to the magical way the universe operates. It becomes your personal book of evidence, a testament that builds unshakable faith. When you do experience a sign or a synchronicity, the most powerful response is not over-analysis. To frantically search for the meaning of seeing a specific animal, for example, is an activity of the ego, which wants to control and define everything. The more powerful and appropriate response is simply to pause, smile, and say, "Thank you." In that moment, you are receiving a gift of encouragement. The simple act of saying thank you is the act of receiving that gift gracefully. It acknowledges the communication and keeps you in a state of humble, appreciative partnership with the cosmos. You are letting the universe know that you are a grateful and attentive dance partner. Let us embrace a new metaphor for this process. Imagine you are driving on a dark, unfamiliar highway late at night. Your destination is a city far away, and you cannot see it. The darkness can feel disorienting and can cause you to doubt whether you are even going the right way. But then, in the beam of your headlights, a road sign appears. It says the name of your destination city and 100 miles. In that moment, your anxiety dissolves. The sign did not transport you to the city. It did not show you the full 100-mile path ahead. But it did something crucial. It gave you confirmation. It gave you reassurance. It infused you with the confidence to keep driving. Signs and synchronicities are these road signs on your journey. They are not the destination itself. They are the loving confirmations from the universe that you are on the right road and that your destination is assured. They light up the next few feet of your path and give you the faith to continue driving through the darkness of the unknown. As you become more adept at noticing these external signs, you will begin to crave a deeper, more direct form of communication. The external winks from the universe are wonderful and reassuring, but they are still echoes of an inner conversation. To truly master the art of navigating your life, you must learn to hear the guidance not just from the world around you, but from the universe within you. The same intelligence that orchestrates the synchronicities in your outer world speaks to you directly through an inner faculty of perception, a faculty that goes beyond your five senses and your logical mind. To receive this clear, direct guidance, you must learn to quiet the world and tune into the subtle, unerring frequency of your own inner knowing. You must learn to hear the whispers of your intuition. You have learned to read the language of the outer world, to recognize the universe's winks and nods in the form of signs and synchronicities. This is a beautiful and reassuring dialogue, but these external signs are merely echoes of a more direct, more intimate, and more powerful conversation that is always available to you. The same universal intelligence that arranges the stars in the sky and the events in your life also speaks directly through you. It does not use the clumsy language of human words. It speaks in the native tongue of the soul, a language of feeling, of resonance, of quiet, unshakable knowing. This direct line of communication is your intuition, and learning to trust its whispers is the final key to navigating your path with grace, ease, and unwavering confidence. For most of your life, you have been taught to value the mind above all else. You were trained to rely on logic, on reason, on evidence, on pro and con lists. Your intellect has been honed into a sharp and powerful tool, and it has its purpose, but it has its limitations. The thinking mind can only operate based on the data it has already collected: your past experiences, your learned beliefs, your known fears. It is, by its very nature, a mechanism for analyzing the past. Your intuition, however, is a different faculty of perception altogether. It is not limited by the past. It is your direct connection to the infinite field of potential, to the mind of the universe itself. Think of it as your soul's GPS, perpetually connected to a satellite of cosmic intelligence. It doesn't always show you the full map of your entire journey, but it will always, with perfect accuracy, tell you which way to turn next. This creates the ultimate inner conflict for the modern human, the head versus the heart. It is the battle between the loud, convincing arguments of your logical mind and the quiet, steady whisper of your inner knowing. The mind's voice is often anxious, complex, and loud. It will debate with itself endlessly, creating intricate arguments for and against a certain path. It needs proof. It needs certainty. It is motivated by the desire to avoid mistakes and to remain safe within the realm of what is already understood. The voice of intuition is entirely different. It is calm. It is simple. It is often the very first, instantaneous feeling you get before your analytical mind kicks in and starts its noisy debate. It does not argue or justify itself. It simply speaks its truth with a quiet authority. A gentle yes, a firm no, a feeling of peace and expansion, a feeling of dread and contraction. Learning to hear your intuition is less about acquiring a new skill and more about learning to quiet the shouting of the mind long enough to hear the whisper that has been there all along. The core message you must embrace is that your intuition is your most trustworthy and infallible guide. It is the compass of your soul, and its needle always points toward your truest, north toward the path of your highest growth, joy, and purpose. Your rational mind can be mistaken. It can be fed incomplete data or be swayed by the flawed beliefs of your conditioning. Your intuition cannot be mistaken. It operates on a level of holistic, energetic knowing that transcends the limitations of logic. To trust it, especially when it seems to defy logic, is the ultimate act of faith in yourself and in the benevolent intelligence of the universe. When you follow the guidance of your intuition, you begin to move in effortless flow with the current of your life. You find yourself in the right place at the right time, meeting the right people, and making choices that lead to an expansion you could never have planned with your conscious mind. How, then, do you practice hearing and trusting this subtle voice? You begin by shifting your point of perception from your head to your body. Your body is a magnificent intuitive receiver, and it cannot lie. When you are faced with a decision, big or small, resist the urge to immediately jump into a mental pro and con list. Instead, pause, close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, and settle into your body. Now, bring the first option into your mind. Don't think about it, feel it. As you hold this choice in your awareness, what happens in your body? Do you feel a sense of openness, a subtle expansion in your chest, a feeling of lightness, as if you are leaning forward into it? This is the physical sensation of a yes. Now, release that option and bring the second choice into your awareness. What happens now? Do you feel a subtle tightening, a clenching in your gut, a feeling of heaviness or dread, as if you are shrinking away from it? This is the physical sensation of a no. Your body knows the truth before your mind does. Learning to read these simple, binary signals of expansion and contraction is the most direct way to consult your inner compass. To build your confidence in this guidance system, you must start small. You wouldn't learn to lift weights by starting with the heaviest ones in the gym. You build the muscle over time. In the same way, you must build your intuition muscle. Practice making low-stakes decisions based solely on that first intuitive hit. Which route should I take home from work today? Which book should I pick up at the bookstore? Should I go to this social gathering or stay home? Make a choice based on that simple feeling of expansion or contraction, and then pay attention to the results. You might take a different route home and avoid a traffic jam you didn't know about. You might stay home from a party and receive an important phone call you would have otherwise missed. By proving to yourself that your intuition is reliable in these small, everyday matters, you build the unshakable confidence you will need to trust it with the big, life-altering decisions about your career, your relationships, and your purpose. Let us use a final metaphor to distinguish these two powerful ways of knowing. Your rational mind is like a powerful flashlight. It is brilliant. It cuts through the darkness and illuminates a perfectly clear, detailed circle right at your feet. It allows you to see every pebble, every crack, every potential stumbling block in your immediate path. It is an essential tool for navigating the step-by-step practicalities of life. But if you spend your entire journey staring only at that small, bright circle at your feet, you will have no idea where you are or in which direction you are ultimately heading. Your intuition, on the other hand, is like starlight. It is not nearly as bright as the flashlight. It is faint, diffuse, and requires you to let your eyes adjust to the darkness. You cannot use starlight to examine the pebble at your feet. But if you are patient, the starlight reveals the vastness of the night sky. It shows you the shapes of the mountains on the horizon. It shows you the constellations. It shows you which way is north. A wise traveler does not choose between the flashlight and the starlight. They use both. They use the starlight to determine their ultimate direction, to stay aligned with their true north. And they use the flashlight to navigate the immediate steps on the path that the starlight has illuminated. As you become more reliant on the starlight of your intuition, a natural and beautiful shift begins to occur. Your definition of success, of prosperity, begins to change. Your intuition does not guide you based on the metrics of your ego or your society: more money, a bigger title, more status. It guides you based on the metrics of your soul: more peace, more joy, more freedom, more authenticity, more connection. It might guide you to leave a high-paying but soul-crushing career. It might guide you toward a path that is less conventional but infinitely more fulfilling. It forces you to ask yourself what you are truly seeking. Is it just the accumulation of material things, or is it a life that resonates with the deepest truth of who you are? Following your intuition is the first step in moving from a life of material acquisition to a life of soulful abundance. It is the compass that leads you to redefine the very currency of wealth. You have begun to listen to the starlight of your intuition, that quiet, unerring compass that guides you not toward what is merely logical, but toward what is deeply resonant. As you follow this inner guidance, you may notice it pulling you in directions that your old, conditioned mind would deem impractical or unproductive. It might lead you away from a lucrative but soul-crushing career path. It might guide you toward spending an afternoon in nature instead of making more sales calls. It might urge you to invest in your own joy and peace rather than just your financial portfolio. This divergence between the guidance of your soul and the values of your society forces you to confront one of the most fundamental questions of your existence. What does it truly mean to be rich? For your entire life, you have been handed a very specific and dangerously narrow definition of wealth. Society has programmed you to believe that wealth is a number in a bank account. It is the value of your assets, the size of your home, the brand of your car. It is a linear, quantifiable metric that you are taught to pursue above all else. This definition, by its very nature, is a prison. It locks you into a perpetual state of striving and comparison. There will always be someone with a bigger number, a larger house, a more luxurious car. It creates a culture of never enough, an endless chase on a hamster wheel where the finish line of contentment is always moving just beyond your reach. Many have sacrificed their health, their relationships, and their peace of mind to reach the pinnacle of this financial mountain, only to arrive at the summit and find the air thin and the view empty. This is the great lie of materialism, that external accumulation can fill an internal void. It cannot. The soul operates on a different currency. This creates a deep inner conflict between the inner accountant and the authentic soul. The inner accountant is the part of you that has been thoroughly conditioned by the world. It is obsessed with the bottom line. It gets a jolt of anxiety when expenses rise and a fleeting hit of pleasure when income increases. It measures the value of your time in dollars and cents. It urges you to make decisions based purely on the financial return on investment. The authentic soul, however, keeps a different set of books. Its ledger isn't measured in money, but in moments. Its accounts are labeled peace of mind, vibrant health, deep connection, creative joy, and unfettered freedom. The conflict is the daily negotiation between these two value systems. Do you take the job that pays more but depletes your soul, or the one that pays less but enriches your spirit? Do you spend your Sunday afternoon preparing for a stressful work week, or do you invest that time in laughter and connection with your loved ones? To find true prosperity, you must have the courage to honor the ledger of your soul. Here is the liberating truth that will shatter the prison of the old paradigm. Money is an aspect of wealth, but it is not the definition of wealth. Money is a tool, a form of energy, but it is just one color in the vast and vibrant spectrum of a truly rich life. The ultimate currency, the goal that encompasses all others, is freedom. When you make this holistic freedom your primary aim, your entire life begins to reorient itself around what truly matters. We are speaking of freedom in its most expansive sense. There is time freedom, the ability to wake without an alarm clock, to choose how you spend the sacred hours of your day, to be the sovereign of your own schedule. There is emotional freedom, the liberation from the constant hum of anxiety, the release from the need for external approval, the quiet confidence of being at peace within your own skin. There is creative freedom, the space and energy to pursue your passions, to express your unique gifts, to build, to write, to sing, to engage in the joyful play that is your soul's purpose. When you make this multifaceted freedom your North Star, an amazing thing happens. Money often follows, not as the thing you are chasing, but as a natural and effortless byproduct of a life well lived. A person who is free, joyful, and living their purpose radiates a powerful high-frequency energy. They are a magnet for creative ideas, for helpful people, and for financial opportunities. You stop chasing wealth and you begin attracting it because you have become wealthy first on the inside. Let's make this practical. It is time for you to consciously redefine your own terms. Take out your journal and create your own prosperity portfolio. Create categories for the different currencies of your rich life. For example, financial abundance, vibrant health and energy, love and intimate connection, time and freedom, peace of mind and spiritual connection, creative expression and joyful play, and contribution and purpose. Beside each heading, write down what that form of wealth looks and feels like to you. Be specific. What does vibrant health feel like in your body? What does time freedom allow you to do? This document becomes your new blueprint for success, a declaration of your soul's true values. Then, begin the daily practice of making deposits into these accounts. The world teaches you to only focus on depositing money into your bank account. You will now become a conscious investor in your entire portfolio of being. Going for a walk in nature is a huge deposit into your health and peace accounts. Spending 30 minutes of uninterrupted, quality time with your child or partner is a massive deposit into your love account. Saying no to a commitment that drains you is a deposit into your time and freedom account. Meditating for 5 minutes is a deposit into your peace of mind account. Playing music or engaging in a hobby is a deposit into your creative expression account. Each day, consciously choose to enrich yourself in ways that have nothing to do with money. This practice will fundamentally shift your sense of self. You will begin to feel rich now, because you are actively cultivating the riches that truly matter. Let us use a final metaphor to anchor this understanding. A wealthy life is like a magnificent, thriving tree. Society has taught us to be obsessed only with the fruit of the tree, money, the possessions, the tangible outcomes. People will sacrifice everything for a larger harvest of fruit. But a wise gardener knows that the fruit is merely the end result of the tree's overall health. A truly rich tree has deep, strong roots that anchor it to the earth. This is your physical and mental health, your peace of mind. Without strong roots, no tree can stand. The tree has a solid, sturdy trunk that reaches for the sky. This is your sense of purpose, the core mission that gives your life structure and direction. The tree has a vast network of branches and lush, green leaves. These are your relationships, your friendships, your experiences, and your connections that interact with the world and engage in the process of photosynthesis, turning light into life. And finally, a healthy, thriving tree provides shade for those who need rest and contributes its beauty to the entire landscape. This is your contribution, the value you give back to the world. To focus only on the fruit while neglecting the health of the roots, the trunk, and the branches is the definition of foolishness. Eventually, the tree will sicken, and the fruit will cease to grow. Your task is to become a wise gardener who tends to the entire tree, knowing that a healthy, vibrant tree will naturally and inevitably produce an abundance of delicious fruit. You now hold a new definition of wealth, a holistic, vibrant, and soul-satisfying vision of a life rich in all its forms. You see the magnificent tree you wish to cultivate. The final stage of this inner journey, the culmination of all we have explored, is to move from simply understanding this vision to becoming its living embodiment. It is not enough to want to cultivate the tree. You must become the fertile ground from which it grows. You must become the embodiment of prosperity itself. You have journeyed far. You have cleared the inner ground, planted new seeds of intention, and learned to tend to the magnificent tree of a holistically wealthy life, a life rich in peace, purpose, health, and freedom. You understand its roots, its trunk, its branches, and its fruit. You have moved from being a victim of your reality to being its conscious architect. Now, we arrive at the final and most profound stage of this inner transformation. The journey is no longer about doing things to become prosperous. It is about being the prosperity you have cultivated, It is the alchemical moment where the gardener merges with the garden, where the seeker becomes the source. This is the art of embodying prosperity. Up until this point, much of our work has been a conscious practice. You have been deliberately choosing new thoughts, consciously shifting your focus, mindfully engaging in new habits. You have been acting as if you were already the abundant, peaceful, and powerful creator of your life. This is a necessary and beautiful phase of reprogramming the conditioned mind, but the ultimate goal is for the practice to dissolve into your very nature. It is the difference between someone who is consciously practicing being kind and someone who simply is a kind person. It is the difference between a student who is memorizing the notes of a song and a virtuoso from whom the music simply flows. Embodiment is the point where the new, prosperous state of being is no longer something you strive for. It is your default setting. It is who you are. The last inner conflict you may face is the subtle distinction between acting and being. In the initial stages, acting as if can sometimes feel like you are wearing a costume. You might affirm, "I am wealthy," while a part of you still feels the grip of lack. You might act with confidence, while a part of you still trembles with insecurity. This is the friction between your old identity and the new one you are building. It is the actor phase. Embodiment is the graceful collapsing of this duality. It is the moment the actor forgets they are playing a role and simply becomes the character. There is no more separation between me and the prosperous self I want to be. The two have merged. Your automatic thoughts are now thoughts of gratitude. Your habitual emotional state is one of peace. Your spontaneous actions are inspired and aligned. This leads to the most powerful shift in your entire orientation to life. You must stop chasing prosperity. The energy of chasing is, by its nature, an affirmation of lack. It declares, "Prosperity is over there, and I am over here. I must run to catch it." This keeps you in a perpetual state of seeking. The embodied state flips this dynamic entirely. You cease to be the seeker, and you become the source. Your new core message is this: be the person that prosperity wants to find. Be the person that money, opportunity, and joy are actively looking for. What does that person look like? What qualities do they possess? Energy, like water, seeks a stable and worthy container. Opportunity and wealth are forms of energy. They are attracted to individuals who can steward them wisely, who can handle them with integrity, and who will use them to create more value. Therefore, your work is simply to become that container. Be a person of unshakable integrity, someone whose word is their bond. Be a person who is trustworthy, not just with money, but with the time and energy of others. Be a person who is genuinely grateful, who appreciates what they have, and therefore can be trusted with more. Be a person who is generous, who understands that energy must circulate, and who is a conduit, not a hoarder. Be a person who is at peace, whose nervous system is not in a constant state of fight or flight, but is calm and centered. A chaotic, anxious person repels energy. A calm, stable person magnetizes it. By focusing on embodying these qualities, you are no longer chasing the butterflies of prosperity. You are tending to the garden of your own character, creating such a beautiful and vibrant space that the butterflies have no choice but to come and land. This can be distilled into a single, powerful, practical question that you can use to guide every moment of your day. For any situation you face, any decision you must make, any interaction you have, simply pause and ask yourself, how would the person I am, becoming the person who is the living embodiment of holistic wealth, peace and love, think, feel, and act right now? How would this person respond to a critical email? They would likely not react with defensiveness, but with calm understanding, seeking a solution rather than engaging in conflict. How would this person view a perceived financial setback? They would not see it as a disaster, but as a temporary course correction, a learning opportunity, and a chance to trust in the universal flow. How would they treat the cashier at the grocery store? With presence, kindness, and genuine appreciation. How would they spend their free time? In ways that nourish their soul, not just numb their mind. By consistently asking this question and then choosing to act from that higher state of being, you are actively rehearsing your new identity. You are consciously closing the gap between the person you have been and the person you are becoming. This is no longer faking it till you make it. This is being it until you become it. Our final metaphor for this stage is that of the spring. In the beginning of our journey, we are like a person lost in a desert, desperately thirsty, searching everywhere for an external source of water, for an oasis of prosperity. We are the seeker. Then, we find the map of these teachings, and we begin the hard work of digging a well. We use the tools of discipline, focus, and letting go. This is the practitioner phase. It requires effort and faith. But then, if we are persistent, our efforts break through to the deep, underground river of universal abundance that was there all along. And at this point, something miraculous happens. The water does not just fill our well. It begins to bubble up and pour forth from the very ground we stand on. We are no longer the one who searches for water. We are the spring. Prosperity, joy, peace, and love now flow ceaselessly from us, not to us. We can drink our fill whenever we wish, for we are the source. There is no more fear of scarcity, for a spring does not worry about running dry. Its very nature is to flow. When you become the spring, your entire relationship with life changes. You no longer operate from a place of need. You operate from a place of overflow. You give freely because you know you are inexhaustible. You take risks because you are no longer defined by external outcomes, but by your own inner state of being. You radiate a quiet confidence and a serene joy that makes you profoundly magnetic. This is the state of embodiment. It is the destination of the inner journey. And as you stand in this new reality, as the living embodiment of the spring, you notice something beautiful. The water that flows from you does not just nourish you, it pools around you. It creates a lush, green oasis in the middle of the desert. It nourishes the land. It provides water for the other thirsty travelers. You realize that your abundance was never just for you. Its very nature is to be shared, to overflow, to give life to everything it touches. Your personal state of embodiment has an inevitable and effortless consequence. It begins to create ripples that expand outward, blessing the entire world around you. This is the sacred ripple effect of a prosperous soul. You have become the spring. You have done the deep inner work to connect with the inexhaustible source of abundance within, and the living waters of peace, joy, and prosperity are now flowing ceaselessly from the very ground of your being. You have moved beyond seeking and have become the source itself. As you rest in this state of embodied abundance, you begin to notice a miraculous phenomenon. Your inner state does not remain contained within the boundaries of your own skin. It cannot. Like the light from a star or the fragrance from a blooming flower, your energy, your very state of being, begins to radiate outward, touching and influencing everything and everyone around you. This is the inevitable and beautiful consequence of your own inner work. This is the ripple effect. Personal transformation is never truly personal. Every shift you make in your own consciousness sends a resonant wave out into the collective field of humanity. Think of the people in your life. You know how it feels to be around someone who is consumed by anxiety and negativity. Their frantic, contracted energy is palpable, and you may find yourself feeling tense and drained in their presence. Conversely, think of how it feels to be in the presence of someone who is genuinely peaceful and joyful. Their calm, expansive energy is also palpable. In their presence, your own shoulders relax, your breathing deepens, and you feel a sense of ease. This is not your imagination. This is energetic contagion. We are all subtly influencing each other's frequencies in every moment. As you become the embodiment of prosperity, you consistently radiate the frequencies of gratitude, peace, generosity, and trust. You become a powerful, positive force in the world. Your peace gives others permission to feel peaceful. Your joy reminds them of their own capacity for joy. Your trust in abundance silently challenges their belief in scarcity. You begin to uplift the world, not by what you do or what you say, but by the very quality of the energy you hold. This realization can trigger one of the final and most subtle inner conflicts on the path, the guilt of abundance. As your life begins to transform, as you begin to experience more joy, more ease, and more financial flow, you may look out at the world and see struggle. You may look at your friends or family and see them caught in the same old patterns of lack and worry that you have just escaped. A pang of guilt may arise. Who am I to be this happy when others are suffering? Who am I to be this wealthy when there is poverty in the world? This feeling comes from a place of compassion, but it is rooted in a flawed and dangerous belief system. It is the belief that your own lack could somehow enrich another. This guilt can be a powerful form of self-sabotage, causing you to unconsciously shrink back from your own good fortune in a misguided attempt to remain in solidarity with those who are struggling. Here we must confront this illusion with a clear and loving truth. Your poverty does not make a single poor person richer. Your sadness does not bring a single sad person joy. Your playing small does not give anyone permission to play big. In fact, the absolute opposite is true. The most selfish thing you can do is to remain in a low vibration state of lack, for then you have nothing of real value to offer anyone. The most generous, compassionate, and impactful thing you can do for the world is to become the fullest, most vibrant, most abundant expression of yourself possible. A darkened candle cannot light another. You must first tend to your own flame, making it as bright and as steady as you can. Only then do you have the light necessary to illuminate the path for others. Your prosperity is not a betrayal of those who are struggling. It is a beacon of possibility for them. When you fully embrace this, your focus naturally shifts from "what can I get" to "how can I serve from my overflow." You begin to look at your unique forms of wealth as resources to be shared. If you have cultivated an abundance of peace, you can offer the gift of your calm, non-reactive presence to those in chaos. If you have cultivated an abundance of knowledge, you can freely teach and mentor those who are seeking guidance. If you have cultivated an abundance of financial resources, you can circulate that money with purpose by investing in ethical businesses, by creating jobs, by donating to causes that uplift humanity, by supporting artists and healers. You are no longer giving from a place of duty or sacrifice, but from a place of joyous overflow, delighting in the opportunity to be a channel for good in the world. Perhaps your greatest contribution, however, is simply to be a living example. More powerful than any sermon or lecture is the quiet integrity of a life lived in alignment with these principles. When your friends and family see you becoming more peaceful, more joyful, more generous, and more free, you become a walking, talking demonstration of what is possible. You shatter their limiting beliefs, not by arguing with them, but by living a reality that contradicts them. Your success gives them permission to dream bigger. Your peace shows them that an alternative to anxiety exists. You become an impossibility made manifest, forcing them to question the boundaries of their own reality. Do not underestimate the profound power of this silent transmission. You are planting seeds in their consciousness simply by being you. Our final metaphor for this stage is that of the lighted candle. Imagine you are a single candle, burning brightly in a vast, dark room. Your light, your peace, your joy, your abundance is steady and clear. Now, another candle, unlit and dark, is brought to you. When you touch your flame to its wick, a miraculous thing happens. The second candle springs to life, its own flame now burning just as brightly as yours. But look closely at your own flame. Has it been diminished in any way? Number. It is just as bright, just as powerful as it was before. In fact, the only thing that has changed is that the total amount of light in the room has now doubled. This is the nature of true spiritual wealth. It is a non-zero-sum game. Sharing your peace does not deplete your own. Sharing your joy does not lessen yours. Sharing your wisdom does not make you less wise. It only amplifies the light. Your purpose, as an embodied, prosperous being, is to become a master candle lighter, to touch as many other souls as you can with the flame of your own awareness, contributing to the great illumination of the world. As you observe this process, as you see your own inner state of being creating these tangible, positive ripples in the world around you, you are led to a final, inescapable conclusion. You see that the peace you cultivated inside results in more peaceful interactions outside. You see that the abundance you feel inside results in more opportunities appearing outside. You see that the love you generated for yourself results in more love being reflected back to you by others. You realize, with a certainty that settles deep in your bones, that there is no separation between the inner and the outer. The world is not a random, objective place you happen to exist in. It is a perfect, flawless, and instantaneous reflection of your own consciousness. It is a mirror, and understanding the true nature of this mirror is the final key to your mastery. We have arrived at the summit. We have journeyed inward, through the shadows of the mind and the landscapes of the heart, and we now stand at the pinnacle of this great understanding. At the very beginning of our time together, we posed a question. What if the universe was not a vault to be cracked, but a mirror reflecting the face you show it? We now return to this question, no longer as a philosophical inquiry, but as the fundamental, operational law of all existence. The final piece of this sacred puzzle is the realization that the outer world you perceive is not separate from you. It is a perfect, flawless, and instantaneous mirror of your inner state of being. Every person, every circumstance, every joy, and every challenge is a reflection of the consciousness you hold. This is the ultimate teaching, and it requires the ultimate surrender. It is the final and most profound inner conflict you will face. The complete letting go of all victimhood. As long as there is someone or something to blame, the government, the economy, your parents, your past, your bad luck, the ego retains a small, safe harbor. It allows you to believe that you are not fully responsible for your life. It gives you an excuse. The final step into true sovereignty requires you to abandon that harbor forever. It requires the courage to stand in the center of your life, to look at everything in it, and to accept, on the deepest level, that you have co-created it all through the vibration of your own being. This is not about blaming yourself for past misfortunes. It is about radically empowering yourself in this present moment. If your consciousness has created your past reality, then your consciousness can and will create your future one. The world is your biofeedback machine. It is constantly giving you a perfect reading of your own energetic output. If you consistently encounter anger and frustration in your day, the universe is mirroring back to you the unresolved anger and frustration within your own field. If you are consistently met with kindness, opportunity, and grace, the universe is reflecting the kindness and grace that you have cultivated within yourself. The people who irritate you the most are often your greatest teachers, for they are mirroring a disowned part of your own shadow. The circumstances that trigger your deepest fears are showing you precisely where your limiting beliefs are still active. When you understand this, life ceases to be a series of random, arbitrary events. It becomes a rich, intelligent, and deeply personal dialogue between your soul and the cosmos. You stop reacting to the reflection in the mirror, and you start inquiring about the source of the reflection, you. This leads us to the ultimate, clarifying truth of our entire journey. For all this time, we have spoken of flipping the prosperity switch. But the great secret is this: you do not flip a switch. You are the switch. Your very state of being, your dominant vibrational frequency, is the mechanism itself. There is no external button to press. The entire universe is wired to the frequency of your own consciousness. When your consciousness is broadcasting a signal of lack, fear, and separation, the switch is in the off position. The lights of abundance in your world appear dim. When you, through the inner work we have done, Shift your consciousness to a state of gratitude, love, and abundance. The switch is moved to the on position. The lights in your world turn on, not because you did something to the lights, but because you changed the nature of the current flowing through you. You are the cause. The state of your world is the effect. The universe does not give you what you want. It does not respond to your begging or your pleading. It gives you who you are. It mirrors you with flawless precision. Let us bring this into your daily life. This understanding transforms everything. Previously, when a negative event occurred, your first instinct was to react to the external event. Now, your practice is to pause and to use the event as a diagnostic tool. You ask, what in me is this reflecting? What belief is active within me right now that has drawn this experience to me? If an unexpected bill arrives, instead of just reacting with fear, you inquire, where am I still holding a vibration of scarcity and insecurity? This does not mean you don't pay the bill. It means you use the experience to fine-tune your own frequency. Conversely, when something wonderful happens, synchronicity, an unexpected gift, a joyful encounter, your practice is to pause and acknowledge the reflection. You say, I see this. I recognize this as a mirror of the peace I have cultivated. I see this as a reflection of the gratitude I have practiced. You are confirming the connection between your inner work and your outer results, thereby strengthening that creative neural pathway. This is the mastery we have been seeking. We can illustrate it with our final metaphor, the Hall of Mirrors. Imagine you are standing in the center of a vast, circular room, and the walls are covered in thousands of mirrors. Everywhere you look, you see a reflection of yourself. If you stand there with a frown on your face, you will see thousands of frowning, unhappy faces looking back at you. If you are filled with anger, you will be surrounded by 1,000 menacing, angry reflections. The unconscious person, believing the reflections are real and separate from them, will spend their entire life frantically running around the room. They will try to force one reflection to smile. They will try to wipe the tears off another. They will get into arguments with a third. It is an exhausting, impossible, and ultimately insane task, because they are trying to change the reflection without changing the source. The master, the embodied being, understands the truth. They stop running. They ignore the thousands of reflections. They stand still in the center of the room, turn their attention inward, and they do the one thing that has any real power. They change themselves. They consciously choose to smile. And in that single instant, without any effort, all 1,000 reflections smile back at them in perfect unison. They have transformed their entire reality by transforming only themselves. This is your power. This is your work. Stop trying to change the reflections. Stop arguing with your reality. Stop trying to manage the world. Your only point of power, your only responsibility, is the source of the reflection, your own state of consciousness. Tend to your inner garden with love and discipline. Cultivate the feelings of peace, joy, and abundance within yourself. Become the spring. Embody the light. Be the smiling face in the center of the room. The mirror of the universe has no choice but to reflect back to you the magnificent truth of who you have become. This is not just a philosophy. It is the law of your being. This is the end of the search for prosperity, and the beginning of a life lived as its source. We have journeyed together through the inner landscapes of the mind and the heart, not as a student learning a series of steps, but as a consciousness undergoing a singular, profound event, an awakening. The entire process, from silencing the mind to scripting the future, can be distilled into one pivotal moment. It is the moment you flip the prosperity switch. This switch is not a mechanical device found in the external world. It is a silent, internal shift in perception. It is the exact instant you stopped seeking power, love, and abundance outside of yourself and turned your gaze inward to the source from which all things are born. That single turn is the beginning and the end of the entire journey. Your work now is not to chase, to strive, or to prove. It is simply to be the lighthouse. A lighthouse does not frantically sail the seas, trying to rescue ships. It does not worry if the ships see its light. It does not chase after them, begging them to come to its shore. It has a single, powerful, and serene purpose. It stands firm on its foundation, rooted deep in the solid rock, and it shines. It radiates its own authentic light, steadily and without condition, into the darkness. Your task is the same. Stand firm in the truth of who you are. Root yourself in the unshakable foundation of your own inner knowing and sufficiency. And from that place, simply shine your unique frequency, your authentic light, into the world. Do not worry about the ships, the opportunities, the right people, the creative ideas, the resources. They are already sailing on the vast ocean of life. They are looking for a harbor. They are searching for a light to guide them. As you stand in your power and shine your light with clarity and consistency, these ships will see you. They will naturally and effortlessly alter their course and be drawn toward your shore, not by your desperate efforts, but by the undeniable pull of your radiant authenticity. The switch has been flipped. The light is on. Now, simply be the light.